It's 6 o'clock, I'm Lee Agnew. The headlines: Aylesbury sex offenders to be sentenced today. Calls for Bedfordshire police to take pet theft more seriously. And victory for Lewis Hamilton at the Italian Grand Prix.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
5 men from Buckinghamshire and another from Bradford are due to be sentenced today for the sexual abuse of 2 schoolgirls. The crimes were committed over a 6-year period in Aylesbury. More from Jane Killick.
The 6 to be sentenced, who range in ages from 29 to 38, are Vikram Singh, Asif Hussain, Arshad Jani, Mohammed Imran, Akbari Khan and Taimur Khan. Following their convictions in July, the children's charity Barnardo's were critical of Buckinghamshire County Council for not doing enough to prevent the abuse.
David Cameron is expected to announce how many Syrian refugees Britain will accept when he addresses the Commons today. Meanwhile, the former Labour Foreign Secretary David Miliband says the United States should do more to help. Mr Miliband, who's president of the International Rescue Committee, says it's time for the US to have a debate about its position.
If you're asking should the United States be playing a role alongside the European Union, my answer would be a very strong yes. America has historically been the home for refugees, a world leader in refugee resettlement. But over the 4 years of the war, the US has only taken 1,400 Syrian refugees in total.
Nearly 900 pets have been reported stolen in Bedfordshire over the past 3 years, but only 3 people have been charged by the county's force with animal theft. The organisation Dog Loss says the police needs to start treating it as more of a priority. At least 100 standing stones have been discovered at a site near Stonehenge. An international group of archaeologists found the monoliths just a metre beneath the earth. Dr Vince Gaffney leads the group.
We've been fantastically lucky because underneath the southern bank we appear to have found evidence for up to 100 standing stones, of which at least 30 to 40 are still there. They've just been pushed over and a massive bank been placed on top of them. So for the best part of 4,500 years, these have just been hidden.
In sport, Hertfordshire's Lewis Hamilton won the Italian Grand Prix at Monza. It puts him 53 points ahead of Nico Rosberg, whose engine failed with just 2 laps remaining. Hamilton was cleared of infringing tyre pressure rules and had some words of sympathy for his teammate.
Nico was really unfortunate. The guys worked so hard to bring these engines here, and then to have something small get in the way, which meant he had to go back to an older engine which had done so many races already. It was already on the limit to see whether it could finish the race. So really unfortunate for him in that sense. But I know that he's a very, very strong driver, both mentally and physically, and he will come back strong in the next race.
The weather will be chilly at first this morning, but warming up to leave a dry day with sunny spells and hazy sunshine. Top temperatures 18 degrees Celsius, 64 degrees Fahrenheit. Get the latest news and sport online at bbc.co.uk/Three Counties.
Thank you, Lee. Morning, guys. Busy show this morning. Sex rings, pet thefts. Actually, I think that's it. So it's not that busy at all. Anything? Did I miss anything, Kath?
Yeah, some things.
Okay. I missed some things. That's great. Leslie Avenue.
Across beds, hearts and bucks.
So
this is BBC Three Counties
here's,
Radio.
Here's the important thing. Okay, I only saw the monkeys once at the weekend. I decided not to go. I decided, Kelly, not to go for the second time. Do you know why?
Why come?
The first time was so perfect. I thought it's not going to beat that.
Oh, that's
wonderful. It's not going to beat that. I took my little boy. He loved it. He had his headphones on. We sat in the front. Mm-hmm. Guess who got to sing with the monkeys?
Him?
No. It was this guy.
Peter Tuck.
It was this guy.
It was you.
Can I play it?
What?
Can I play you the clip of me singing? So they're singing Going Down, right? They're singing Going Down. And they do this thing where sometimes Mickey Dolenz does this thing where he puts the microphone in someone's face, right?
Oh, lazy.
Lazy, exactly. I know, exactly. But I'm sat there and he's walking towards me as he's singing Going Down. And I thought, flipping heck, there's a strong possibility he might ask me to sing. And so I'm then started mouthing the words quite enthusiastically to show that if the opportunity arose,
you're up for it.
I would be up for it. And I was, he wouldn't be embarrassed. And so he's walking along, and he's kind of singing, and then he it's not the best quality recording, and then he kind of nods at me. I raised my bottle of water like this. And went, all right, geezer. And then he looked at the microphone and nodded, and I went, too flipping right, boss.
Oh, my word.
So this is he. He starts. It's not the best quality recording. No one filmed it. Thanks, guys. So this is him. Verse 2. Verse 2, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. This is the coolest moment of my life. Not bad. Who's this?
I can hear how happy you are.
Ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Hammersmith Odeon. Thank you, Hammersmith Odeon. I turned round and I gave it that.
Oh.
With a saturated liver and I wish I could forgive her, but I do believe she meant it when she told me to forget it, and I bet you will forget it when you find me in the morning wet and drowned, and the word gets round. I'm going down. I'm going down. I'm coming up for air, it's pretty stuff under there. I'd like to say I didn't care, but I forgot to leave a note, and it's so hot to stay afloat or soaking wet without a boat, and I knew I should have taken off my shoes. It's front page news. Going down, going down. Hey, hey. Help, 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 help. I wish I had another drink, I wouldn't be so hot to sink. I should have taken time to think. Besides, I got the picture straight. You must have had another day that didn't need this extra way to wish that I could see the way to show. I don't want no more. Going down, I'm going down. I now see the left, let it slip it all away. I made a should have learned to swim instead of naturally got me stuff. I can't believe it. Why I jump in life again? My tummy pump. I can't believe they drink this stuff in town. This dirty brown. I'm going down, going down, I'm going down, 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 going down. I wish I'd looked before I leave, but didn't know it was so deep and down so far. Don't get wet. I haven't touched the bottom yet. This river scene is getting old. I'm hungry, sleepy, wet and cold. She told me to forget it nice. I should have taken her advice. I only want to go on home. I'd gladly leave that girl alone. What a way to spend the night. If I don't drown, I'll die of fright. My pappy taught me how to float, but I can't swim a single note. He threw me in to teach me how. I stayed there floating like a mama cow, and now I floated way downstream. No, this has to be a dream. If I could find my way to shore, I'd never do this anymore. Now give you three up and down, nine, I'm going down. Just one more time, go down. I'm going down. Going down.
I sang with the monkeys. I went backstage and hung out with one of the monkeys. The less grumpy of the two monkeys.
Which one?
Mickey Dolenz, of
Oh,
course.
he likes you though, doesn't he?
He liked me. We had a chat. He recognised me. He signed an album. He had a picture taken with my boy.
I mean, you're virtually mates.
Virtually mates. When a monkey walks towards you and says, "Iain, how you doing?" You know. You know
Beautiful.
that your life is complete. Oh, there's more. I'm talking. Oh, shut up. Sorry.
Now the sky is getting light, everything will be alright. Think I'll finally got the knack of just floating lazy on my back. I never really liked that town. I think I'll ride the river down, just moving slow and floating free. There's a river swinging under me, waving back to the slopes on shore. I should have thought of this before. I float on down to New Orleans and pick up on some swinging scenes. I'm gonna know a better day. I'll go down, moving all the way, going down. Go down.
So that was Friday, which was awesome. Saturday, not so awesome. Kath knows what happened on Saturday because I phoned her up to tell her what was happening while it was happening.
I feel terrible about that still.
Did you get the bootleg recording I made?
No, I thought that was a ruse.
No, there is actually a bootleg recording of, not the concert, of me being a complete arse in a shop.
But to be honest, you weren't the only one.
Yeah, I know. I'll tell you what happened, but in a bit. But I had an hour and 15-minute standoff in a shop. It was not my proudest moment. Well, in many ways it was. But it was also my most shameful moment. Morning, Iain Lee, BBC Three Counties Radio, 03459 455 555. Can you describe the Queen in one word, and what has she ever done for you? That's where we're going today. Now, 6 members of a child sex ring in Aylesbury will be sentenced today at the Old Bailey. They're facing lengthy jail sentences for taking part in the abuse of 2 schoolgirls involving rape and child prostitution. The abuse took place over a period of 6 years. One of the victims, whose voice is spoken by an actor, says how things started with her.
These men were like, "You're really pretty. Do you want to come back to ours? I'll buy you a drink and cigarettes." Obviously, at that age, you can't buy these things and you fall for it. And you start to believe that these people actually, they want to be your friend. And I think in the back of your mind, you know what they really want, but you just sort of overlook that.
Elaine Hook is a safeguarding, child protection and exploitation specialist from Buckinghamshire. Morning, Elaine.
Morning, Ian.
Is there a type of young girl or young... I also happen to see young boys as well, but it was girls in this instance. Is there a type of young person this is more likely to happen to?
I think research now shows us that there are certain groups of children that could be at greater risk. And I'm sort of generalising here. Quite often it's vulnerable children, young people, young women. And as you say, it can be boys, but it is generally women and young girls. And it's quite often homeless children, children that are out of school possibly. It can be children that have run away, migrant children, children that have already been trafficked into the country, children with mental health conditions, and drug and alcohol have a lot to do with it too. And as that young lady said, often they are seriously groomed. And I think we have to understand that grooming is extremely complex, especially in certain groups of perpetrators.
It sounds like that a lot of these young people don't know what a healthy relationship is, because sometimes they think that these people are their boyfriends, don't they?
Absolutely, yes. And the perpetrators will groom them in that way. So initially they will pretend and come over as if they're very kind. They're doing these girls a favour. They will ply them with gifts, drugs. And some of these children, remember, who might be seriously neglected in all sorts of ways. And remember, abuse these days doesn't just cover physical abuse anymore. We're covering things like mental health, all sorts of trafficking issues where girls believe these men are their boyfriends, and they will ply them with gifts and jewellery, cigarettes, and even just food, a pizza, a place to stay. It can be that they might be on the streets, some of these young little girls, and they need somewhere to stay.
2 things that I know we'll get asked later on in the show. If these girls are being abused and raped, why do they keep going back?
There's lots of reasons. So maybe they have nowhere else to go. That's the first thing. They could be excluded from school and from homes. Some of them think this is love, so they believe that these men are boyfriends and begin to live with them. But I think a lot of it is drugs, alcohol, and once they are plied with these addictions, remember they need to go back for their fix. So to get their drugs and alcohol fix and to get it free, often they will be blackmailed in the end into giving sexual favours and sexual activity for their drugs, for their alcohol, and even food.
Now, we've heard of other stories, like, one of the girls apparently had sex with about 60 men, which I just think is just the saddest thing. And nearly all of those men were Asian, and we suspect primarily of Pakistani descent. We seem to be hearing more and more stories of grooming gangs where it's primarily Pakistani men. Should we be reading anything into that?
Well, I've worked in Asia as a white, very blonde, very fair woman, and it's well known now, I believe, that these men, we need to get inside these men's heads, understand ethnic minorities, understand how they view women and their moral and values. Their moral code is often different. When children hit puberty in some of these countries, they are then married to much older men, and I think they bring those values here and believe they can behave that way here. I also think that they see women very differently to the way we see women in a lot of these cases. So they're upbringing and, if you like, moral and ethic code are very different to what we believe and what we feel our children. Remember, these are children that are being exploited. Now, children as young as 11, 12 and 13 in some of these ethnic groups are married at that age, and they can be married to men who are 30 and 40, 50 and 60. We've heard in some cases as old as 70. So it's a very, very different way they look at children and young women of puberty age.
Elaine, it's just heartbreaking, this story, and all of these stories like this. I really appreciate getting your insight into that. It's Elaine Hooker, who's a safeguarding, child protection and exploitation specialist from Buckinghamshire. Hey, the Queen, is it? I don't know if it's today or if it's Wednesday, but if she makes it to Wednesday or makes it through today, we'll clarify that by, I don't know, having a look on Google or asking Jeeves. She'll be the longest. She will have been. Hang on a second, guys. I can feel one brewing. Something's brewing. She'll have been sat on the throne longer than anyone else. Kelly, over to you.
She must be tired.
Thank you very much indeed. So, can you sum up the Queen in one word? Does she deserve a lie down? And what has the Queen ever done for you?
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Not too bad at all on the roads across the three counties this morning. No reported problems in from the police, and can't see anything at the moment on the motorways, anything out of the ordinary, should I say, on the motorways or on our major A roads. If you are heading into London, just be aware that the North Circular, the A406, closed eastbound between the A10 and the 4th Street Tunnel because of a car that's overturned. There's already a queue from Clockhouse onto the trains, and there are no reported problems this morning. James Worley, BBC Three Counties Radio.
James, thank you very much. Well, I've just tweeted the questions. Describe the Queen in one word, and what has she ever done for you? Ed Gleave, who writes for The Star on Sunday, he's done 2 birds, 1 stone. The Queen in one word, what's she ever done for you? Nothing. There we go, you see? Harsh but fair, guys. It's a Queen special this morning. These are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio on, I don't know, was it Monday? Huh? A group of men will be sentenced today for abusing 2 young girls in Aylesbury. There are calls for Bedfordshire Police to take reports of pet theft more seriously. And after a steward's inquiry, Hertfordshire's Lewis Hamilton won another car race. Oh, geez, I mean, really, who cares about that guy and his stupid hair and his boring cars?
Even if you can't get to the match.
Already, we're hearing stories of Watford fans saying that they are going to struggle to get here.
Or listen to the commentary.
Got quick feet, hasn't he? Quick feet and good skill and good vision.
You can still keep up to date with your local team with Three Counties Sport.
There is the half-time whistle. It's 0-0. Plenty to ponder.
Follow us on Twitter to get all the team news.
There's 2 changes from the team that won at Barnet on Saturday.
Goals as they happen.
Trying to make room for the shot. Marriott into the corner of the net. Super goal from Luton Town.
And reaction at the final whistle.
Momentum changes very quickly in these games, and we're disappointed for that.
Twitter.com/BBC3CR and stay up to date with your local team.
Here we go. And this isn't just, come out and knock the Queen. I am genetically programmed to dislike the monarchy and all they stand for. I like the Queen. I like Charles. I like Lady Di, the Queen of Hearts. I like Camilla. And I like Edward, but I don't like his wife because she pushed past me in the busy place once.
Do you know what the Queen done for me?
Did she let you use her lavvy? You're in London, you're caught short, you knocked on Buck House, and you said, Your Majesty, I'm absolutely, honestly, it's popping out. Can I? And she went, oh, come in, please, use the toilet. The downstairs one, of course.
No, the other time.
Oh, yeah.
She made Princess Anne. And do you know what I did for Princess Anne?
Okay. There we go.
Gymnastics. I remember looking between my legs, and there she was, Princess Royal.
Well, was it Princess Anne? Was she the party queen, or was that Margaret?
No, Margaret.
Okay.
Princess Anne is
my fave.
is no nonsense, and Margaret was lots of nonsense.
Princess Margaret. I mean, wow, what she didn't get up to is nobody's business.
Mustique, of course.
Sorry?
Mustique.
The girl band.
Yeah. with a bump and flex.
What are you talking about?
She had the island of Mustique, used to go off there and do what she wanted.
Yeah, she did what she wanted. Rock stars, comedians, Peter Sellers. That was. Is she still alive?
No.
Okay, well then we can libel her as much as we like, guys.
Oh.
I watched a really good programme about the Queen and her sister going out on the Raz. On VE Day when they left the palace and they went out and did the conga through the Ritz.
Yeah.
They went out on the town. They went out on the town, and the guy at the Ritz was saying how I don't think this happened then because I think Princess Margaret would have been about 14.
Yeah.
But later on in life, the Queen used to nurse a G&T all night.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Margaret was on the whiskies.
Yeah, and then some. The whiskey was just to warm her up, to loosen the vocal cords.
Yeah. But one of the very posh ladies who went out with him on the VE night said that if it hadn't been for some rather dashing naval officers, they would have had real knicker trouble. Which is something I didn't expect to hear on a royal documentary.
455 555. It's a royal forget it, man. It's a royal special. I know. It's a royal. It's royal week because it's Wednesday. We've discovered it's Wednesday. If she can just keep going till Wednesday, and I'm not setting that as a challenge. If she can keep going till Wednesday. The big boss isn't coming in today, it's tomorrow, isn't it? All right, we'll be more respectful then. If she can keep going until Wednesday, then she will have been sat on that throne longer than anyone.
Go on, ma'am.
She must be tired.
Thank you, Kelly. I've trained you well. 03459 455 555. The Queen in one word. What has she ever done for you? Russ says old, one word. Fair play. I would say fit. He also says she made me happy with the James Bond sketch at the Olympic opening ceremony.
Good.
That was brilliant.
Yeah.
Because she jumped out of an aeroplane. I'm reluctant to do this next story because you don't take it seriously, and I do, and we're going to fall out over this story.
I'm not going to fall out. Because I'm moderate.
I've got a menagerie at home.
And I got none.
Menagerie's like it's that big bird, isn't it, with the feathers? Is that a menagerie?
Menagerie car.
Yeah. Now we've got the dog, and I'm not going to keep banging on about having a dog.
Don't.
Got the cat, got the stick insects, found the baby stick insect, alive and well, living the dream.
They don't count.
Yes, they do. Although I did flick one off me, going, "Get away! You disgust me."
You flicked off a stick insect.
That's no mean feat. But I love the animals.
I love them.
Not the rock group.
I'm not allowed any.
Think they're overrated. You're not allowed any?
No.
Okay.
What one? We had the discussion this weekend, and 3 of us, all the women in the house, said we want a puppy. Daddy says no.
So when you getting it?
As soon as we get rid of Daddy.
Exactly. Do you want to borrow my scissors?
Yeah.
I'm carrying scissors around with me. I think that's illegal.
Yeah.
Why?
Anyway, so this story, you said, "Oh, don't do this story." I went, "This is
No,
a
I
really
just think it's a bit. Yeah. Go on, anyway.
I said, "Oh, this is an important story."
Well, not when we start doing the rundown, but
Pets?
carry on.
Pets aren't a Can we? I tell you what. Can we line up some listener votes as to whether this is an important story or not?
Get ready, everyone.
You give out the number.
034. Well, I keep giving it out. No one phones up. Turns out we need to
Make
phone
them feel
them out.
needed.
Okay, guys. We need you to call in to vote as to whether this is a good story or not. It's about pets and being stolen. Okay. 03459.
I don't think some of these are pets.
455 555. Okay.
I'm waiting.
You're what?
I'm waiting.
Waiting. Pet. Here we go. We're into the story now. You decide. You decide whether we do this for the rest of the show or we ditch it.
Go on, serious
Pets
voice.
aren't a policing priority, or so it would seem from the stats obtained by one of our local papers. According to figures obtained by the Beds on Sunday, that's one of the good local papers, 880 animals have been reported stolen in the county over the last 3.5 years, but only 3 people have ever been charged. Catherine, what do we know?
Well, the paper talks about there having been 139 cases of theft involving a total of 880 animals. Here's the rundown. 297 fish, 122 chickens...
How do you steal a fish?
Bucket.
I was just asking.
297 fish, 122 chickens, 111 partridges.
5 gold rings.
74 dogs, 19 rabbits, 13 cats and 4 birds. Despite all these animals being stolen, only 3 people have ever been charged.
03459 455 555. What did the police have to say?
Well, first of all, that they wouldn't be joining us this morning to talk about this. Secondly, that they do treat pet theft seriously, although the first answer kind of makes you question the second. But maybe they're busy following leads.
Oh, a joke.
Beds Police told us they have a dedicated wildlife officer whose job remit this would fall under, and also that since these stats were brought to their attention, they'll draw up a series of priorities to help officers tackle the issue.
So why aren't these scumbags, and they are scumbags, it's almost... No, for some people, it's as bad as child abduction. I'm
Yeah.
going to say it. Why aren't they being caught?
Well, that's the question that's been asked by a number of people,
Including me.
Christina from Dunstable too. She had a 6-week-old puppy
Oh,
stolen from her
bless
back
her.
garden. Yeah. Even though she called the police and she thought she knew who took it, it took the police 5 days to come out. By that time, the dog had gone. Now, the organisation Dog Loss says this story isn't unusual. They say the police don't treat the crime seriously enough, and they say the theft of a pet is treated as on a par with someone taking an iPod or a phone. If people do get caught, they'll only ever receive a small fine or a community service.
03459 455 555. It's up to you. Do you want us to keep doing this story because I think it's really important, or are you a cold, stone-hearted so-and-so like Catherine and you want us to drop it? Wow, the middle finger.
I call you on the telephone now, boy, it's too rough with cigarettes. I sometimes feel I should just go home, but I'm dealing with a memory that never forgets.
Yeah, whatever who. 03459 455 555. Do we keep doing the animal story? I think it's a strong story. In fact, the BBC has been accused of cover-ups in the past. And I'm wondering, Catherine, if maybe you've got a vested interest in keeping this story ipsnay on the downsnay.
What, because I'm into partridges?
Because maybe... Is that a partridge up your shirt, or are you pleased to see? Maybe you're doing the theft, or a mate of yours is doing the theft. That's all I'm saying.
Strong accusation.
03459 455 555. The Queen in one word. What's she ever done for you?
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
The M25 building up now on the anti-clockwise carriageway heading past junction 18, and it's very busy on the M1 in patches south of Luton. The A406 North Circular in London, well, that's closed eastbound between the A10 and the 4th Street Tunnel as the car's overturned. There's a queue from the Clock House interchange, although I think it has, just reopened. We can see on the London cameras. Onto the trains, looking good across the three counties. James Hawley, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Across beds, hearts and bugs.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's 6:30. I'm Lee Agnew. The headlines. 5 men from Buckinghamshire and another from Bradford are due to be sentenced today for the sexual abuse of 2 schoolgirls. The crimes were committed over a 6-year period in Aylesbury. The Prime Minister is expected to reveal how many Syrian refugees will be allowed to settle in the UK today. David Cameron will set out plans for accepting people in camps bordering Syria. And nearly 900 pets have been reported stolen in Bedfordshire over the past 3 years. Only 3 people have been charged by the county's force with animal theft. The weather will be chilly at first this morning, but warming up to leave a dry day with sunny spells and hazy sunshine. Top temperatures around 18 degrees Celsius. That's 64 degrees Fahrenheit.
Three Counties Sports.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Hertfordshire's Lewis Hamilton is 53 points clear at the top of the Drivers' Championship after victory at Monza.
Out of the final corner comes Lewis Hamilton to take the checkered flag. Hamilton crosses the line. You can hear the crowd. They sportingly applaud him here in Italy because he has his 3rd Italian Grand Prix victory, his 7th of this season, on his 50th start for Mercedes. It's a perfect run for Lewis Hamilton, and he's going to head home the Ferrari of Sebastian Vettel.
On to football, and Luton Town have moved up to 19th in League 2 with a 3-1 win away at Cambridge. Hatters boss John Still wants to build on the performance.
I think people will look at our players now and look at Craig McAlsmith today, look at him 3 or 4 games ago, look at Scott Griffiths now, look at him a few games ago, look at Steve McDonnell, look at him a few games ago. People, my teams take a while to get going. Are we there yet? No, we're not. This is a good win and a very good performance. But I believe we'll get stronger and stronger and better, I really do.
Stevenage Borough won 2-1 at Plymouth, and Wickham are up to second in the table after a 2-1 win at home to Hartlepool. The Wanderers are now only a point behind the league leaders, and manager Gareth Ainsworth is delighted with their form.
The first 25 minutes we were by far the better side. We could have had 2 or 3. We got 1. Harry, great finish from him, but then we let him in with a sloppy goal, really. A sloppy goal just before half-time. That gives the team a boost. So... But some of the toughest decisions we're leaving players out, and that's what it's going to be here because we're so good as a level, as a whole. It's not like there's a player can just say definitely out every week. It's tough, but great win, yeah.
In rugby, Bedford won their championship match at Bristol by 29 points to 23. Iceland has become the smallest country to qualify for the European Championships, and a draw against Israel wasn't enough to confirm Wales's place in the finals. BBC Three Counties News and Sport, more at 7 o'clock.
Did you say Steve McDonald?
Don't think so.
Yeah, you did.
No, the man said Steve McDonald.
Steve McDonald.
He's from Coronation Street.
Is he?
He's been suffering he's been suffering with depression. Is the cloud lifted for Steve? Is the black dog gone?
Sounds like he's pretty sharp in the box now.
Brilliant. Thank you, Lee. Why? Also, can you explain to me? I've only got 2.5 hours. Yeah. Why anybody would be interested in motor racing?
Because it's a very exciting sport.
Fair play. He's got me there. He's got me on a technicality. Hang on a second. That don't make no sense. It's a really dull spot. Thank you, Lee. Shouty Chris is on the line. Morning, Shouty Chris.
Morning, Iain the Pain.
Oh,
not so shouty. Someone's been for the last 3 months on a voice control course.
What's going on, Chris?
Wagwan, Chris. Wagwan. Wappen.
Oh, dear.
I've got a throat on me, so please.
You got a throat on you. Gosh, that sounds
I've got
literally.
a chesty cough.
You got a what?
Yeah,
a
I've got
testy cough?
Chesty.
No,
Chesty.
chesty. You ain't seen my chesty, and I'm telling you.
I can feel the vibe from here, baby. Wow. Wowzers.
No, the Queen.
When I went backstage at the Monkeys, right, there was a
Yeah.
drunk Scottish woman there, right? And I don't know how she got. No, I don't know how she got there. She collared me at the start. So sometimes when I go to things, people recognise me.
She sounds like a Big Brother viewer.
She could be. She didn't know what my name was. She came up and said, "Oh, I know you." And I said, "All right." She goes, "Yeah. And I know all the things you've been on." I said, "I bet you don't." She went, "Right."
Oh, gosh.
Mock the week. I said, "I'll stop you there. You're thinking of someone completely different." Anyway, so we got backstage and she was drunk and would not stop talking to me, right? And my boy was there and I was just thinking, please go away. And then she made a comment about her chest.
Oh, no.
She was pointing to her T-shirt. She was pointing to her T-shirt. And I said, look, I don't want to keep looking at your T-shirt because I'm looking at your chest and I don't want to look at your chest. She goes, yeah, well, it's big, isn't it? And I'm thinking, yeah, it's massive because you're fat. And I'll be honest, ladies, here we go, right? It's not all about big boobs, all right? I'm not a big boob fan. But also, if you're fat and you've got big boobs, they don't count. They don't count.
That's cheating, is it?
They don't count. They don't count as nice boobs because there's a big fat belly underneath them. It doesn't count.
Anyway, back to Chris, who I'm sure has not got the full set of belly and boobs.
My boobs are bigger than my belly.
Always a bonus.
There we go. I think that's the phrase. If your boobs are bigger than your belly, you'll never eat all that.
Stop it.
The Queen.
The big boss isn't in today. It's tomorrow, isn't it? He comes
No,
in.
she's going to talk about the Queen now.
Okay, right. Go. Yes, Your Majesty.
Yes, the Queen, I believe, has more integrity than anyone that has been in her government since she started. And I would like to see her kick their backsides out of government and take over the country because she could never have done a worse job than the twits that are in now.
The thing is, Chris, we don't know that because we don't know what she thinks.
Well, we do actually, because that woman seems to do anything. As you said, she jumped out. Well, she didn't jump out of the helicopter, but she.
Well, hang on. You can't say because she did a sketch for the Olympics that she's prepared to do anything. I did Let's Dance for comic relief, and my boys saw that for the first time this weekend. I can't believe I hadn't shown it to them. It terrified the life out of them. I don't mean I'm prepared to do anything.
No, she is. I'll tell you something, right? That woman is a woman of integrity.
How do you know?
Name me one thing, not her family, one thing that she's ever really cocked up on, Ian.
Lady Di.
Oh.
No, she didn't cock up on that. It was
She
her
did.
son that married him. Married her.
The after effects. Well, I was going to say it was a car crash. It was literally, but the way she dealt with it was awful.
She allowed them to have a day off for it and everything like that. Considering I'm not really a fan of Lady Di's, right?
Yeah, she's the Queen of Hearts, mate.
Did not give her. I mean, personally, I think that she was a bit of a girl player. Bigger player than Charles was.
Bigger player than Charles was. Charles, who was phoning up Camilla while they were married, saying he wanted to be her sanitary products. That's a fact. That's a fact.
Excuse me.
Excuse
Who
me.
broke up Will Carling's marriage?
Will Carling did.
And
His wife. No, you can't blame somebody else on breaking up someone's marriage.
How many times did she phone that poor doctor and not leave him alone, and he wouldn't mess around with her?
I literally got no idea.
Oh, come on,
Who'd
boy,
have-
let's get it right.
Who'd have thought we'd be discussing I haven't heard the name Will Carling for years. Do you remember when he was a thing?
I saw him on the telly the other day.
Is he still looking fine?
Got a face like Popeye. What are you talking about?
Well, he's a shorty, isn't he?
Give us
a shorty.
sum up the Queen in one word.
Majestic.
Well, I mean, that's the job.
Thank you, Chris. So, I had my iPhone fixed recently. I'm going there. I have to go there, Kelly. Not back to the shop. I had my iPhone fixed recently. The screen cracked, okay? Took it to a shop, fixed it. It was 60 quid. It wasn't an official fixer. Since being fixed, every now and then the phone freezes. The touchscreen doesn't work, okay? Since being fixed, the phone freezes. And it got worse and worse. I thought, I'm going to take it back. I've got a warranty. I phoned them up and they said, yeah, bring it in, we'll fix it. I took it into the shop. And the guy, he looked at it for 30 seconds. He said, no, it looks fine to me. I said, yeah, no, it kind of happens it's intermittent. He said, well, I can't do anything about it. I said, no, it's intermittent. Basically, what happens is from time to time it'll freeze and I won't be able to, and it might last 30 seconds, it might last 5 minutes, it might last 10 minutes. He said, I can't, I need to see it. So next time it freezes, bring it in and I'll have a look at it for you. And I said, well, the problem is it's intermittent. So I don't know when it's going to happen, and it might only last 30 seconds. He said, right, well, there's nothing I can do about it. And it was all quite calm then. And then I said calmly, right, so I guess you don't know how to fix phones then. He went nuts at that point. He went nuts. He said, right, out.
Wow.
I said, sorry? He said, out. Get out of my shop. I said, what? He said, how dare you say I don't know how to fix phones properly? He was furious. And I said, well, I'm only saying that because you fixed my phone, but it's now got a new fault. He said, it's coincidence. I said, how was it coincidence? Before, I said it was better before. He said, what, it's better before when you couldn't use it at all? I said, yeah, because at least it was consistent then. I knew I couldn't use it. Now, I don't know. And he said, when the fault happens, bring it back. Snap then, Kelly. It was not my proudest moment. I said, right, OK, I'll stay here until the fault happens again. He went, you'll stay outside. I said, no, I'll stay here. He said, get out of my shop. Got quite tense. I said, no, I'm going to stay here. He said, I can make you leave my shop. I said, go on then, fella. I'm staying here. Tiny little shop. And so I stood there. Now, 10 minutes into me standing there, I thought, my wife's going to kill me. This is the stupidest thing. This is similar to the time my wife came home from work and she saw me stood in the middle of a busy road holding my phone up, filming a bus driver who'd upset me. And she went, Iain, I will see you back indoors in 5 minutes. I went, all right. You got away. Anyway, so I'm in there and 10 minutes into it, I'm thinking, this is not going to end well because there's no I had 2 hours on the parking ticket and I had to go and get pizza from Waitrose. And I thought this may not break down again. I could be stuck here, okay? And we were having banter. He wasn't going... I asked him for a selfie.
He didn't like that, did he?
I said, listen, should we have a selfie to commemorate this? He said, if you think that's funny, you are completely wrong. I said, how about if we take a grumpy selfie? You don't have to smile. He said, get out. I said, no, I'm staying. And we were there. Now, 45 minutes into it, I'm thinking, man alive, this is not going to freeze. I think it's about 45 minutes into it, I phoned you up, Catherine, and described the scene quite loudly.
Sometimes he was talking to me. A lot of the times he was performing for everyone else in the shop.
Yeah. He was lying to me, but he was lying about me to the other customers. He said I'd been there an hour and a half.
Yeah, I heard that. I heard the acceleration of time.
I said it's 45 minutes. He said, right, if your phone's broken, how come you're making a phone call? I said, you know what the problem is? It's got nothing to do with my ability to make a phone call.
This is it. So I'm talking to you. I'm also hearing his side of things, and I'm hearing him speeding up time, which is quite something if he can't fix a phone.
Yeah.
And then I feel bad about that because I should have been the one to walk you out the shop.
Right, so then we spoke to Kath, put the phone down, right? An hour and a quarter.
Because I thought I was just killing time. I thought he's feeling uncomfortable, let's just have a chat.
An hour and a flipping quarter into this, I'm thinking, I've got to get that pizza from Waitrose, otherwise there's going to be no tea and the kids will go hungry. And and I was thinking, I've got to get out. But I couldn't leave. I couldn't at Pride. You see, Pride is someone must have said something very profound about Pride. And if you know that quote, then say it now.
Pride comes before a cold pizza.
There we go, you see. Pride comes before a call. Thank you. I should return.
Calls.
Thank you very much indeed. So what I did was I texted the BBC Three Counties political reporter Paul Scoynes. An hour and 15 minutes I've been in the shop, and it was so...
Because when we left it, I said, you've got to get out of the shop.
Yeah.
And he went, yeah, I have.
Yeah.
So I thought, right, sorted, he's out. He
It was-
stuck it out for another 20 minutes.
It was so uncomfortable. It was so awkward. And so I texted Paul Scoynes and said, Paul, I'm going to tell you exactly why I texted to Paul Scoynes, right, and see if you can work out what these instructions mean, OK? I WhatsApped him, because the phone wasn't freezing. I said, right. Oh, no, that's pictures of... That's the... Oh, where have I put it? Hang on a second. So I texted him. I texted Paul Scoynes. Oh, I can't find it. I said, Paul, what you've got to do is you need to phone me up now and you need to say, walk out of the shop. And whatever I say, repeat it. What do you think that would mean?
That he needs to coax you out the shop.
By continually saying...
Yeah, and he's got the dullest voice, so it's kind of mesmeric.
Well, so whatever I say, repeat it. So he phoned me up, and I went, hello. He went, hello. I went...
Failed.
I went, you all right? He went, you all right?
Oh, what an idiot.
I went, have you got something to say? Have you got something to say? I said, this is not helping. He said, oh, you want me to... Oh, sorry. And so then Scoins is saying in my ear, walk out of the shop. Walk out of the shop. And I literally, I'm on the phone going, right, I'm walking out of the shop. And I started walking out. And I said to the guy who'd been a pain in the bum and hadn't fixed my phone, I said, I like your style. You've got balls, but you need to learn better customer. I'm walking out of the shop. And then the young lad like the Saturday boy said, if it happens again, you could film it and send us the film, and we'd fix it. We'd fix it. And so then
why didn't they say that in the beginning?
I strode to the young boy who flinched, and I said, I wish you'd said that an hour and 15 minutes ago, because I wouldn't be feeling like such a massive plum. He said, I'm sorry. I said, no, you've got nothing to apologise for.
He was all right all the way through.
You are a player.
How are you going to film it if it's frozen?
Yeah. I know. I'd borrow my wife's phone. I worked out. Anyway, and Scoins talked me off the ledge out of the shop. An hour and 15 minutes of me acting like a complete and utter cheese.
Yeah, but you weren't to know it was going to last that long. And also, you committed. I praise you for that.
Yeah, do you know what? And in my head, I'm thinking, I'm Larry David. But really, I must have just looked like Barry Plum.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Usual delays on the M1 southbound at Toddington services, and then it's slow moving from 10 down towards 9 approaching Redbourne. Anti-clockwise M25's building up now. Anti-clockwise, as I've said, from 17 round towards 15 down to the M4. A1's busy into London through Boreham Wood, and there's no access from the A10 onto the eastbound North Circular at the moment, and that's because of a car that overturned earlier. The North Circular is open from the A10, as I say, no access from the A10 at the moment, and trains and tubes are looking good. No reported problems. I'm James Hawley. BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you, James. 6:47, weather coming up, but first of all, here are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. A group of men will be sentenced today for abusing 2 young girls in Aylesbury. There are calls for Bedfordshire Police to take reports of pet theft more seriously, primarily me calling for it to be taken more seriously by the police and by my colleagues. And after a steward's inquiry, Hertfordshire's Lewis Hamilton is still the most boring man on the planet.
Beds, Hearts and Bucks weather.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Good morning. It is a decent start to the day, if a little chilly. The temperature down in single figures overnight. High pressure dominates, and therefore we had some clear skies. So in worst case, we're at 4 Celsius at the moment. So it is going to be really quite raw. You are going to notice that temperature difference. Most places they're around 7 or 8. But we have the sunshine today, which will warm things up rather nicely as we head through. 20 Celsius being the maximum by the end of the afternoon. Overnight, it's a repeat performance. Some patchy clouds, some clear spells. Temperatures perhaps not quite as chilly, but still feeling quite cold. 10 Celsius the minimum. For tomorrow, more cloud, but still some sunny spells. Maximum temperature 18 Celsius. And that's your forecast.
Original British drama on BBC One. Where is the doctor?
This is an attack.
Survival, it's just a choice. Choose it now.
Doctor Who starts September 19th on BBC One and BBC One HD.
Scary Daleks. Kev's on the line. Morning, Kev.
Hello, mate. You all right?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you, Kev. What you got for us, boss?
About your pet store, I think it should be reported, because at the end of the day, dogs are quite expensive.
Yep.
Yeah, dogs are.
Expensive.
Well, right.
Quite a car park.
Okay. Chickens and partridges, how do you feel about them?
Well, I haven't got any of them, but I know Ian's mate Molly Green in Birmingham has.
Oh, are you a defector?
Say what, mate?
Are you a defector from those losers? Good lad.
I'll see you in London if you remember. In my lorry.
Oh, that was you!
Fella.
That was you. We were stuck in really bad traffic, and I was tired and grumpy, and I'm sticking my head out because I think it was quite a hot day. And then this loyal listener starts beeping. Did you get a picture in the end from your truck?
Just about with my dodgy iPhone, yeah.
There we go. You said there's a dodgy iPhones. You said, Kev, you basically. I'm gifting this show to you because you, sir, are a legend. He listens as he's driving down the M1 until he has to listen to rubbish BBC London. But he's right though. He's right though, Catherine. You've got to take this seriously.
All right, yeah, okay, dogs, because that's a member of the family, but flipping partridges.
No, but
I'd rather they investigated my burglary if I'd been burgled.
You haven't been burgled though.
If I had been.
Kev, listen.
Yeah.
Have you? Who's that talking in the background?
Oh, that's me sat nav.
Oh, flipping it. Have you got any pets, Kev?
Yeah, I've got a collie cross.
And if she went, and it's a girl, isn't it?
It is.
If she went, you would be devastated, wouldn't you?
It would break my heart, mate.
I get that. I don't get partridges or fish. I don't get it.
She's a rescue dog. We rescued her.
Yeah.
And, well, she's the family. She is it.
We got a little girl last
You got all
week.
brummy about that because you're emotional.
We got a little girl last week, and she's part of the family.
I had a dream I had a puppy the other night,
Yeah.
and when I woke up in the morning and I didn't have one, I was really upset. So, I mean, I can feel your pain, kind of.
Nice puppies. Kev, thank you very much indeed.
I was actually really upset.
What's your beef with pheasants?
Just don't think you can get attached to a partridge.
Flipping heck, cold. Justin, be with you after this.
When we walk down the street, we don't care who we see, you and me. Don't have to run, don't have to hide, 'cause we got something burning inside. We got love, power, it's the greatest power of them all. We got love, power, and together we can fall. Sometimes we're up, sometimes we're down, but our feet are always on the ground. We always laugh, don't have to cry, and this is the reason why. We got love, power, it's the greatest power of them all. We got love, power, and together we can fall. Sometimes we're up, sometimes we're down, but our feet are always on the ground. We always laugh, don't have to cry, and this is the reason why. We got love, power, it's the greatest power in the world.
And someone who's got love power is the Queen. It's a Queen special, not the rubbish band. I'm talking about the old lady, Justin.
Yes, absolute legend. Beautiful.
She loves power.
What?
She does.
She does. She well, I don't know if she loves it, but she certainly wields it in a careful and a touching way. So, if the Queen makes it to Wednesday, and there's no reason to suspect she won't, she's
Apart
got
from the curse.
Well, of course, the dreaded royal curse. She will have been the longest-serving monarch ever. She will have been sat on that throne longer than anybody else. Kelly Betts.
She must be tired.
Thank you very much indeed. Although she's been sat down, so I mean, how tired can you be? That sounds like a long rest.
Sometimes you need to stand up and stretch those legs.
In it though, DVT.
It's a very real problem.
Justin, you have taken the Queen to the streets. Wagwan.
Yes, absolutely. You've been asking this morning, the Queen in one word. And what I've tried to do here, boss, is get perspectives again from right the way across the world. Here's what happened on the streets this morning.
Taking it to the streets with J-Dog. Hashtag God Save the Queen. Old.
Where's your respect gone? I picked you because you're wearing a tie, and now you're mugging the Queen off.
I didn't mean to. You just...
Dave, the Queen in one word.
Majestic.
Morning, sir. Nice tattoo. We're talking about the Queen this morning. The Queen in one word.
Royalty.
Yep, that's fact, not fiction. The Queen in one word, though.
Good person.
No, that's two.
All right. Lovely.
Lovely. Thanks very much.
Cheers.
Boss, the Queen. Describe the Queen in one word.
Excellent.
Okay, here's one for you. If you got the chance to meet the Queen,
Yes.
okay, or Brian May from Queen, who would you prefer to meet?
The actual Queen.
What's wrong with Brian?
Don't get wrong, Brian's good, but the Queen's more important in my eyes.
That's a great answer. Thanks, mate.
Thank you.
Let's get the Polish perspective. What's your name, sir?
My name is Jarek.
Jarek.
Yeah.
Jarek. The Queen in one word.
Fit.
Jarek. Can we change the answer to attractive? Is that okay?
Contractive.
Let's get the Hungarian perspective. Sir, can you describe the Queen for me in one word?
Majestic, I believe.
You know what? That's beautiful. Somebody from a different country saying that about our country. That means a lot.
Well, I'm glad to give you Mariana's opinion.
Great work, Dealey. Thank you, boss.
Don't have a lot, but with me that's fine. Whatever I got, well, I know it's mine. I don't go around with a local crowd. I don't dig what's in, so I guess I'm out. I'm saying these things so you know me, baby. So you understand what I'm all about. The boat that I row won't cross the ocean. The boat that I row won't get me there soon. But I got the love if you got the notion. The boat that I row, take it up for two. Me and you. There ain't a man alive can tell me what to say. I choose my own side and I like it that way. I don't worry about all the things I'm done. There's only one thing I want I ain't got. You know that I'm thinking about you, baby. But you better know before you come along. The boat that I row won't cross the ocean. The boat that I row won't get me there soon. But I got the love if you got the notion. The boat that I row, pick it up for two. Me and you. I'm saying these things so you know me, baby. So you understand what I'm all about. The boat that I row won't cross the ocean. The boat that I row won't get me there soon. But I got the love if you got the notion. The boat that I row, pick it up for two. Me and you. The boat that I row won't cross the ocean. The boat that I row won't get me there soon. But I got the love if you got the notion. The boat that I row, pick it up
Okay, we can play this. Who's best? Lulu or the Queen? I mean, I like Lulu a lot. I've sat at her feet while she's regaled me with tales.
I mean, who's best at what?
Bless you.
Bless you.
Okay, who's best at rocking? And who's best at a ruling?
I think we know the answer to that, don't we?
Lulu. Every time. Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
On the motorways, just usual delays really. Southbound at Toddington, services on the M1's heavy. South of Luton down towards Junction 9, Redbourne is building up. A1M's looking slow past Stevenage at the moment, and the anti-clockwise M25 heavy 21 to 19 and then down towards 15, the M4. Heading into London, the A1 slow in Boreham Wood, and the A10 is queuing down to the North Circular. It's all because there's no access onto the eastbound North Circular from the A10 roundabout because of a car that overturned earlier on this morning, although the North Circular is now open on the trains and there are no reported delays. James Worley, BBC Three Counties Radio.
James, thank you very much indeed. 03459 455 555. So lots to talk about. Who's better, Lulu or the Queen? Can you describe the Queen in one word? And what's she ever done for you? It's an exciting week. If she makes it to Wednesday, She'll have been sat on the throne longer than anybody else.
She must be tired.
You might as well just clip it and send it over, and it just saves you saying it every single time, Kelly. I don't want to wear out that delicate little voice. 03459 455 555 81333. Start your text 3CR. And no, Russ, I'm not going to attempt to loosen up the travel guy. What does that mean?
Local and vocal across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's 7 o'clock, I'm Lee Agnew. The headlines: Aylesbury sex offenders to be sentenced today. Calls for Bedfordshire police to take pet theft more seriously. And victory for Lewis Hamilton at the Italian Grand Prix.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
6 members of a child sex ring in Aylesbury will be sentenced today. The men abused 2 schoolgirls over a 6-year period. Elaine Hook, a child protection specialist from Buckinghamshire, says it's often vulnerable children who are the most at risk.
It's quite often homeless children, children that are out of school possibly. It can be children that have run away, migrant children, children that have already been trafficked into the country, children with mental health conditions, and drug and alcohol have a lot to do with it too.
David Cameron is expected to announce how many Syrian refugees Britain will accept when he addresses the Commons today. Meanwhile, the former Labour Foreign Secretary David Miliband says the United States should do more to help deal with the refugee crisis. Mr Miliband, who is president of the International Rescue Committee, says it was time for the country to have a debate about its position.
If you're asking should the United States be playing a role alongside the European Union, my answer would be a very strong yes. America has historically been the home for refugees, a world leader in refugee resettlement. But over the 4 years of the war, the US has only taken 1,400 Syrian refugees in total.
Nearly 900 pets have been reported stolen in Bedfordshire over the past 3 years, but only 3 people have been charged by the county's force with animal theft. The organisation Dog Lost says the police needs to start treating it as more of a priority. New figures show there's been a 70% rise in hate crimes against Muslims in London. It's believed the actions of radical Islamists abroad have caused the increase. Maina Begum says she was attacked in the street by a woman with a knife.
She pulled my face veil down and she pushed me to the floor. Because it was such a busy road and, there was people opposite at the pub. They were just, they were just watching us. And I think that just because of the way I dress, people don't think I'm worth sort of rescuing.
At least 100 standing stones have been discovered at a site near Stonehenge. An international group of archaeologists found the monoliths just a metre beneath the earth. Dr Vince Gaffney leads the group.
We've been fantastically lucky because underneath the southern bank we appear to have found evidence for up to 100 standing stones, of which at least 30 to 40 are still there. They've just been pushed over and a massive bank been placed on top of them. So for the best part of 4,500 years, these have just been hidden.
In sport, Lewis Hamilton is 53 points clear at the top of the Drivers' Championship after a victory at the Italian Grand Prix. And the weather will be chilly at first this morning, but warming up to leave a dry day with sunny spells. Top temperatures around 18 degrees Celsius, 64 degrees Fahrenheit. You can get the latest news and sport online at bbc.co.uk/3 counties.
Thank you, Lee. Morning, Iain Lee, BBC Three Counties Radio. It's looking like it might be a nice day. Weather-wise, I'm expecting the usual doom and gloom, to be happening to us all spiritually and personally. But weather-wise, it looks brilliant out there. Sunny, isn't it? Kids back at school, get in the classroom, it's hot. Daddy in the garden, kid in the classroom. I'm liking Dad. I don't know, I'm talking like that. I don't know why I'm allowing my real accent to slip out. I've managed to bury it so well. 03459 455 555. So, if the Queen makes it to Wednesday, she will have been sat on the throne longer than anyone else. Kelly?
She must be tired.
There we go. Thank you, Kelly. There we go. So, the Queen in one word. What's she ever done for you? And who's better, the Queen or Lulu? 03459 455 555.
Across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
Ah?
I had a text through.
Oh, yeah.
You might be able to go and baffle this guy with science if you ever go back in that shop, but I don't think you should.
Yeah.
Mark in Dunstable says it
Morning,
sounds
Mark.
like the digitiser on your iPhone is the problem. It should be replaced when you have a new screen.
Mark, I appreciate that. I think the real problem is my attitude.
No, I don't think you should allow yourself to be... This is what he wants. He wants you to be too ashamed. He wanted to shame you out of the shop.
I tell you what else drove this guy. I spent an hour and 15 minutes standing in a shop because the guy refused to fix my phone that he'd broken. And so he went mad when I said, "Oh, well, Pete, you don't know how to fix phones." That's when he tried to throw me out.
Yeah.
There was another thing I said that drove him nuts. I said, "Well, you've obviously used a cheap screen." Sorry? Every time I said something he didn't like, sorry. I said, "Well, you've obviously used a cheap screen. If you know how to fix things, then it's a cheap screen that you've." But get out of my shop.
Gosh.
I mean,
You went for the Peggy Mitchell defence, though, didn't he? Get out of my shop.
Get out of my shop. There was when he did start to suggest that he might call the police. No, I held firm.
For what?
I
He was
said-
going to call the police because you mentioned trading standards.
Oh wait, and this was it. So I said to him, "I'm going to call trading standards." He says, "You can't do that now." I said, "Sorry." He said, "You can't do that now because you said you're going to call trading standards, so that constitutes a threat, which means you can't call what? I can't call trading standards because I've told you I'm going to call trading standards? Are you nuts?"
Anyway, you should have been listening to our conversation because you were telling me that you were going to call trading standards, actually.
Exactly. Actually. 03459 455 555. Anyway, another shop where I live saw the commotion on Twitter and said, "I tell you what, Iain, if you pop in this week, we'll fix your phone for free." Oh, thank you, Computer Exchange. I'm going there. Later today, 6 men will be sentenced for their part in the systematic abuse of 2 schoolgirls in Aylesbury. The men face lengthy jail terms for raping and treating their victims as child prostitutes over a period of 6 years. Jenny Pearce is director of the International Centre researching child sexual exploitation at the University of Bedfordshire. We seem to be hearing, more and more of these stories popping up in the news, don't we, Jenny?
We do, and it's really tragic because for every single victim who's affected by this, the impact can be life-changing, and it's a terrible crime that we are just beginning now to get much better at recognising. So although it's awful to hear that so many victims have had to go through this, what we have to remember is that as came through from the NSPCC work, only 1 in 20 children telling us about only 1 in 20 children are affected by child sexual abuse, and that's definitely an underestimation. There are many more victims than 1 in 20, according to the NSPCC.
When we hear about Rotherham, and I don't know the specifics of this case, but I do believe that one of the young girls involved mentioned to social services that she may be being sexually abused. Quite often, these girls are ignored, either because of the backgrounds they come from, where they live, because it's easier to ignore them. That's pretty worrying, isn't it?
It's very worrying, very sadly still, and this also does affect boys, although we don't have as many cases coming forward.
You're
as
right,
boys
thank
at the
you,
moment.
yes.
Yeah, no, it's okay. It's just people, and quite understandably we would. We understand this as an offence that's committed by men on girls, and in the vast majority of cases that's the situation. But boys are affected, and children find it very difficult to come forward. They either think they're going to be blamed, it's your fault, you were wearing the wrong clothes, or you were out at night at the wrong time, or what were you doing, drinking alcohol, or something like that. So they're very afraid that they're going to be blamed, but also they really don't believe that they're going to be believed. There's a feeling that if I tell this, nobody's going to believe me. And that's the attitude that we've got to try to change, both amongst professionals, but also amongst the general public. We've just got to get better at noticing when vulnerable young people are being targeted and abused. We've got to get our radars more tuned into this so that we can see the signs. So, if a young person is coming home late at night and suddenly has got jewellery or has suddenly got a couple of bottles of this, that or the other alcohol, where are they getting that from? We've got to start to ask those questions.
I suppose the thing is, again, I don't know the specifics of this case, but thinking of Rotherham, a lot of those people that were abusing Rotherham lived in care homes or foster homes, so perhaps they weren't quite as closely monitored as it may have been in other situations. And even if they were going home to their mum and dad, it is easy to hide a lump of hash or to hide, jewellery and stuff, isn't it? And keep these... It's difficult to know what 13, 14, 15-year-old kids are up to and what's going on in their head.
It is really difficult, and so there is quite a lot of work that needs to happen with parents to help, and carers for children in local authority care, to help them to get better at identifying the signs. But when you are working in the area, you do start to realise that actually it isn't that difficult. We wouldn't really expect 12, 13, 14-year-olds to start dramatically changing their behaviour quite quickly, to be hiding things, to be keeping secret, to be coming home or back into the care home under the influence of a lot of alcohol or a lot of drugs. We should be perturbed about that. We should be worrying. And so those are the signs. They're not invisible signs. You can actually see it, but it is difficult to believe the child because it's sometimes quite hard to think that these offences can be committed. One of the other things that we've got to get better at is going into all the sorts of communities around the UK to help those who are victims. And also, our research and other research has shown that 25% of the perpetrators are under 18 themselves. That means that children are sexually abusing children. So what we've got to do is to get much better at helping young people to be able to talk about sex and violence and the relationship between the two and what is a healthy relationship.
One of the girls may have had sex with up to about 60 men, all of them Asian. There seems to be a thread, and I'm never quite sure how to approach this, not because I'm worried about being racist or anything, I'm not at all, but by saying that this group and the group in Rotherham were primarily Pakistani, and I believe from a fairly specific region, I don't want to exclude the fact that white blokes, white English blokes and Polish blokes and American blokes, they also rape children as well. But should we be reading anything into the fact that we've had at least a couple of instances where it's groups of Pakistani men?
I think we have really got to take this seriously. So we are at the moment identifying a run of offences that are committed by organised groups of men, often being called from the Pakistani origin. And so what that means is that we've got to work both within those communities with the leaders of those communities, but not only rely on working with the leaders. One of the problems is that sometimes leaders within communities, across all communities, if you think of the Roman Catholic Church, you get a similar pattern sometimes. But some of the leaders try to hide this for sake of sort of protecting the reputation of their community. So we've got to get better at going into all communities and looking, where are the women who are being affected by this? Are they going to GP clinics? Are they going to nursery schools? Where can we start to link with people who are really affected by the violence and try to get it easier for them to disclose and tell us about what's happening?
Jenny, I really appreciate your thoughts on this. Thank you. Jenny Pearce, Director of the International Centre, researching child sexual exploitation at the University of Beds. Here's the... and I've got no qualms with discussing the fact that it's Pakistani men in... I think they're Pakistani, certainly Asian, in this case, and in Rotherham. I guess where my slight reservation comes from is that something like this makes it easier for racists to go, well, Pakistani men, they're paedophiles. Well, but hang on, as Jenny said, what about the Catholic Church, where you could say, what? So all Catholics are? What about the fact that what about the fact that quite often it's dads or uncles? So all dads and uncles, you can't generalise.
Well, I also think that with the Rotherham gang, there were a couple that weren't Pakistani men. There were a couple that weren't. But can't ignore the fact that many were.
But I just wonder how much you're supposed to read into it. Really? Anyway, let's hope that Dennis has got something light and frothy to say. Good morning, Dennis.
Good morning, Iain.
Flipping heck, he's loud.
Right.
Yes, boss.
The Queen.
Yeah.
I've been a royalist all my life. I served her father and I served her when she came to power.
You were a butler?
She swore that she would look after us.
Right.
Right.
And how's that going?
Done a beautiful job. The other thing is...
Hello?
Two good reasons to keep her.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I just wondered why you weren't responding to any of the questions I was putting to you.
What questions?
Exactly. Carry on.
Right. as I said, with two very good reasons we should keep her. First of all,
Now, steady on. I can think of two.
We don't have to have a president.
Back in the day. Eesh.
We
Yes?
don't have to have a president. And
Right.
secondly,
Well, hang on. Why would having a president be a bad thing?
because they serve themselves, they don't serve us.
Well, hang on a minute. But the Queen's, the Queen's not in power. She doesn't run the country.
I know
yeah?
that, but she
right. So we've got a
represents
prime minister who it could be argued serves
Well,
himself.
yes, but I mean, she could smack his bottom, give him half a chance.
But she don't do nothing. The Queen has got no power, has she?
Represents us. If he went
No, she
too far,
doesn't.
she'd have him. Anyway,
No, she wouldn't.
Yes, she would.
She would, Dennis. You live in Cloud Cuckoo Land, where she's probably got more influence.
And the other reason I would say I'd keep her is to keep that idiot's son off the throne.
Was that your... Have you got a squeaky bum?
Yes.
Thank you very much indeed, Dennis.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
On the motorways, the M25 slow anti-clockwise. We can see on the sensors from junctions 26 towards 25 towards the A10, and then it's heavy in patches from before the M1 all the way down to the M40 at junction 16. Usual congestion on the M1 passing Toddington services and then south of Luton down towards Redbourne. A1M's very heavy passing Stevenage on the sensors. Driving into London, the A10 is queuing down to the North Circular. Now the slip road onto the eastbound North Circular from the roundabout at Great Cambridge is closed off because of a car that overturned earlier on. A1 very busy into London, by the way, through Boreham Wood, and it's busy now on the westbound A414 and the London Coney roundabout. Trains are okay with no reported problems. James Worley, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you, James. 7:16, Monday, the 7th of September, guys. Flippin' heck. I'm Iain Lee. These are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. A group of men who abused two young girls in Aylesbury will be sentenced later today. Only 3 people have been charged with animal theft in Bedfordshire since 2012, despite nearly 900 reports of pets being stolen. And Hertfordshire's Lewis Hamilton done drive his car fast, didn't it?
We've had a brilliant summer of cricket.
That's Edson Court, it's all over.
But once again, we're also celebrating our unsung sporting heroes.
He has such passion for sport. I'm extremely proud of what we've achieved here.
Who will you nominate? We're looking for someone who inspires people to get involved in sport across beds, hearts and bucks.
He's funny, he's never strict with you, so you don't feel pressured.
To make your nominations, go to bbc.co.uk/unsunghero and download an entry form. The closing date is Thursday, 22nd of October, with our 2015 Unsung Hero announced at the BBC Sports Personality of the Year in December.
She cares about everyone else more than she does about herself.
Get inspired, get nominating.
I was going to play a jingle, but if I'd have pressed the button I was going to press, it would have been this. That is not the... No, that's not what
We can make our own jingle over that.
Go on then, Kelly, over to you.
Inley.
Is that
Yeah.
Wow. Is that it?
Yeah, did you like it?
No, I hated it.
Oh.
I hated it like I've never hated anything in my life. That was awful.
But it did the
I mean,
job.
No, it didn't do any job. It should have been something like this. Oh, no, hang on a minute. This.
Local.
Oh, no, hang on, I can't.
Mash up.
Beds, hearts and bucks.
This is
That's
Iain Lee.
awful. That's worse than
BBC
mine.
Three Counties Radio.
There we go. What has the Queen ever done for you? The Queen in one word. Who's better, Lulu or the Queen? It's a royal themed week, and we're already running out of things to do. We need. Oh, Catherine, you're
Yes.
a mum. You'll be able to do this. Can we get some bunting for the studio?
I've got bunting, yeah. I've only just put some away.
Can you get your bunting out and
Yeah.
let us have a look?
Of course.
Can you hang
What
your?
colour do you want? I've got some with cupcakes on.
I
I've got
want
some
red, white,
plain.
and blue, ideally, mate. What with it being the Queen and all.
Oh, I don't know whether I've got that one. I might have. I'll look in the
Cupcakes
garage.
then, because the Queen's milkshake brings the boys to the yard because she's like, it's better than yours.
Is that not a Khalees?
It's either Khalees or the Queen. I always get those two confused. But still, I love Khalees's Christmas Day speech. So we'll have bunting. Scott has... the Queen has done this for Uxbridge, he's tweeted, the greatest down in history, and he's holding a rather battered DVD of the Windsor Street Diamond Jubilee Party, the 5th of June 2012. My mum, one of my nicest pictures of my mum is when the it's when the Queen came to Slough, and there's my mum.
I've seen what Scott's put. Have you? Filthy animal.
What's he put?
You said it was your...
Unbelievable. That's outrageous, mate. And it's my mum wearing a Union flag, stuff you pendants, the Union Jack plastic bowler hat, waving a little flag, looking over the moon.
Oh.
That's what the Queen does. She makes people feel good about themselves.
She sells a lot of tat.
She sells a lot of tat, and she makes people feel good about themselves. When have you ever made anyone feel good about themselves?
Pretty recently.
Okay, apart from that.
Time before that as well.
I made my boys distraught last night, put the boys to bed, and I said, right, I'm going to go off and go to sleep. I'm going to go. And we got the dog, so I had to take the dog out into the garden to water her. And I was out there waiting for her to do a wee.
You were being posh when you said to water the dog.
Water means for them to evacuate their bladder.
Oh, I thought it was one of them predictive text mistakes. I thought you meant walk.
No, water
the dog.
Water the dog. Let her do her ablutions in the back garden. And then when you do, you go, oh, there's a good girl, you're a good girl, you're a good girl. So anyway, we're out there for about 10 minutes. I'm on the phone to my mate while I'm waiting for the dog to do her business. And then suddenly I hear this almighty scream. And I look at the end, coming, running down the garden in their pyjamas, my two little boys in floods of tears. I've never seen them so distraught. Daddy, where did you go? You left us. We looked everywhere in the house and we couldn't find you. They thought I'd gone to the bingo or something.
Wow.
They thought I left them. They're going, what if a burglar had come in? I said, I was here in the garden. What if a burglar had come in? Then my youngest is going, Daddy, what if I have a nightmare about this? Well, hang on, let's just go over the fear that you're feeling now before we discuss any further fear that might come.
Those kids would never have made it through the 70s when our parents used to just go out all night.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, well...
And that went well. I mean, the 70s.
In the 70s, yeah. I remember my mum, I remember being 6, and my mum saying, right, I'm going to take your sisters to Brownies. Do you want to come or do you want to stay here? I'll stay here. 6. She came back, she gave me a right rollicking because I turned the fire up to warm my pyjama trousers.
Oh, highly flammable.
Yeah. I go, who did this? Not me. Who turned the fire up? Don't know. It was you, isn't it? No. Right, you did it. Wallop. Have some of that.
I think the furthest my parents ever went was like next door's back garden. That's far enough.
Euphemism?
No.
Thank you very much indeed. Now, missing pets. I'm going to keep your microphone open for this.
Do it. Listen, I just don't classify a fish or a partridge as a pet or a priority.
Missing pets aren't a police priority if the latest figures obtained by one of our greatest local papers are to be believed. According to the Beds on Sunday, while 880 animals were reported stolen over the past 3 years, only 3 people have ever been charged. As a pet owner, I think this is a really important story. I've got a cat. If someone touched my Velvet...
They'd know about it, wouldn't they?
They know. If someone took my little doggy, if you notice I'm not saying her name...
Why? Because you don't want to make her a prize.
Exactly. I mean, you can have... even the stick insects, I'd be miffed.
You wouldn't notice.
So, Velvet, distraught. The dog, I'd be devastated. The stick insect, I'd be a bit miffed. You know what I mean, because you've got stick insects.
Yeah,
But this is a serious story. For some people, their pet, their dog, their cat, their guinea pig, their whatever, is like a child to them.
Dog, cat, pet, guinea pig, rabbit even, maybe. Fish,
to some
partridge.
People, but to some people they are. And also they cost a lot of money as well. Among the pets stolen include 297 fish, 122 chickens, 74 dogs, and unlucky for some, certainly for these guys, 13 cats. Nikki Oakley is from Hertfordshire and is from the organisation Dogs Lost. Morning, Nikki.
Morning, Ian.
This is, and I've just got a dog. I've finally come round to the pressure, and I bought a dog last week.
I realised that because when we've spoken before, you've just talked about your cat.
No, I've got a little 11-week-old Westie, and she's adorable. I've only had her 8 days. But this is serious stuff, isn't it? And pets being stolen, they are a huge. They're part of the family.
Absolutely, Ian. I mean, it's a growing problem, and the figures that have come from this Freedom of Information request are actually reflected around the country, and it's a growing crime.
So why aren't the police taking it seriously? Do you think? Is it that you know? It's only a dog. It doesn't matter.
There's several reasons, really. I mean, police services have been cut all around the country, and of course they have to prioritise things, and stolen pets really are not considered a priority. Unfortunately, even though these animals are pets, they are actually classified as chattels under the Theft Act, so they have absolutely no more importance than the theft of an iPhone. Now, Dog Lost is actually working very hard with the Stolen and Missing Pets Alliance to actually get pets recognised as being sentient beings and therefore having greater priority in terms of investigation. And the other thing, of course, is that there's very little incentive for people not to steal pets because the penalties are minimal. And as the FOI request actually said, only 3 people were charged with theft in Bedfordshire.
And what I guess there's a multitude of reasons. Why are they? I guess are they stealing them for money? Because my dog was £750, and that's a Westie.
Yes.
So they can be worth a lot of money, can't they?
Absolutely. It's always a financial matter, really. Either people steal dogs and keep them themselves because they don't want to pay, as you said in your case, £750 for Westie puppy, or they're stolen for breeding because then they, particularly obviously if they're bitches, they can produce valuable puppies that can be sold on, or they are sold on the black market. And really, it depends according to the breed. There's a lot of theft of toy breeds, chihuahuas, miniature French bulldogs, pugs, very fashionable, very valuable, always a ready market. And then there's also the rural crime, and that's reflected in the Bedfordshire figures as well, where gun dogs are stolen, and there's significant evidence that is part of organised crime.
Dogs I can understand, cats I can understand. You won't know I know this isn't kind of your remit, but stealing chickens and things like that. That's odd, isn't it? Because there's not much money you're going to get for that.
We do cover almost any pets and any animals. But yes, chickens, I think, again, it's part of the rural crime, really, where absolutely anything will be stolen. If it has a value, chickens produce eggs, chickens can be eaten. It's a terrible thing to say if it's someone's pet.
Wow.
But that, unfortunately, is the reality.
How many people get in touch with you and say, we just put the dog in the back garden, we've gone out and she's gone, we think she's been nicked?
We get about 50 dogs a day registered with dog loss. They're not all stolen, some are generally missing. But, of course, a dog can go missing and then be picked up, and that is theft by finding, and the process continues.
Get your dogs chipped.
Absolutely, but unfortunately, if your dog's chipped, there is no compulsion for your dog to actually be scanned if it's missing. And again, Dog Lost is campaigning, along with the Stolen and Missing Pets Alliance, to actually get compulsory scanning of microchips in.
I'm reading the book on how to work the dog, and it's an instruction book. I ordered offline, and it says when your dog is old enough to be taken for walks, make sure you take her lots of different routes so she knows the way back home if she gets lost. How cool is that?
That is very good. Dogs are generally used to routine. They learn by rote, and so yes, they will do. But unfortunately, there are lots of obstacles and lots of people looking out for them on their way home. So it really is best to keep them on a lead and take them for a walk.
Nikki, if people want to get in touch with your organisation, how do they do that?
Well, it's doglost.co.uk.
Nice and simple. Nice to talk to you. Speak to you again soon.
Thanks. Bye.
Thank you, Nikki. Ta-ta. Nikki Oakley from doglost.co.uk. Let's go back to the Ice Maiden and see if her heart has melted ever so slightly.
Still don't care about fish or partridges.
Oh, for crying out loud. Right, what we need is somebody who is a fish lover, steady.
I cried when I had to flush my fish down the loo.
Yeah, so did I, but if someone had nicked it, get another one. I mean, he's good.
And we prayed over the toilet seat.
How do they...
Flushed it.
I've done that before now, but not
It
because of
didn't
the
flush.
fish. Oh.
Had to pray again.
Toilet paper.
Still didn't flush.
Drop something on it.
My only pet I've ever had was I had 2 goldfish. The only pets.
Oh. I'm starting to get it now. Carry on with your story. Dr. Paging Dr. Freud, I am here and I am listening and I have good answer for you. Please continue with story.
I thought it was cruel having them anyway, and they just die horror. You just give them a slow, lingering death, don't you, from the moment you buy them? But my first fish, when it died, I was really upset, and Mum gave it a burial at sea.
Very interesting.
And as the flush subsided, she said to me, "Oh," because my mum deals with everything by feeding. So, you've had a loss. Let's eat something.
Yes.
She said, "Do you want a sandwich?" I went, "Yeah."
Fish finger.
Tuna Maybe a tuna sandwich.
So you are associating your lack of compassion with the animals for the fact that you were deprived of love by your mother as a child. Yes?
I was given plenty of love by my mother and even more cake.
So this is the reason why you do not like pets, because you don't have pet.
I don't.
I'm right. I'm Dr. Freud.
I don't respect some animals' pet status.
It's because your mother gave you too many sandwich and not enough hug. Is that correct? Yes.
No.
Yeah, that's. Hang on, I can't do a Geordie accent. Yeah, man, that's correct, man.
Why are you doing Geordie? I'm not a Geordie.
What?
I'm not a Geordie.
We need to talk about this.
Travel news for beds, cards, and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Well, problems at Royston. Just getting word that the A505 is partially blocked heading west at Baldock Road as a car's on fire. The 607 into Clophill, that's very slow. That's the A507, and the M1 southbound, usual congestion passing Toddington services, and then very heavy south of Luton down towards 9 Redbourne. A1M, usual congestion southbound at Stevenage, and very busy on the A41 down towards the M25. Now, M25 anti-clockwise is slow moving from around junction 27 to 25. Usual congestion from the M1 all the way down to the M40 in patches. Driving into London on the A10, there's a long queue approaching the North Circular as the slip road from the A10 southbound onto the eastbound North Circular is currently closed because of a crash earlier on this morning. James Worley, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Across beds, hearts, and bugs.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's 7:30. I'm Lee Agnew. The headlines: 5 men from Buckinghamshire and another from Bradford are due to be sentenced today for the sexual abuse of 2 schoolgirls. The crimes were committed over a 6-year period in Aylesbury. The Prime Minister is expected to announce how many Syrian migrants the UK is prepared to accept. The government plans to resettle more people from camps near Syria rather than those who've already reached Europe. And nearly 900 pets have been reported stolen in Bedfordshire over the past 3 years, but only 3 people have been charged by the county's force with animal theft. The weather will be chilly at first this morning, but warming up to leave a dry day with sunny spells. Top temperatures around 18 degrees Celsius, 64 degrees Fahrenheit.
Three Counties Sports.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Hertfordshire's Lewis Hamilton is 53 points clear at the top of the Drivers' Championship after victory at Monza.
Out of the final corner comes Lewis Hamilton to take the checkered flag. Hamilton crosses the line. You can hear the crowd. They sportingly applaud him here in Italy because he has his 3rd Italian Grand Prix victory, his 7th of this season, on his 50th start for Mercedes. It's a perfect run for Lewis Hamilton, and he's going to head home the Ferrari of Sebastian Vettel.
On to football, and Luton Town have moved up to 19th in League 2 with a 3-1 win away at Cambridge. Hatters boss John Still wants to build on the performance.
I think people will look at our players now and look at Craig McAlsmith today, look at him 3 or 4 games ago, look at Scott Griffiths now, look at him a few games ago, look at Steve McDonnell, look at him a few games ago. People, my teams take a while to get going. Are we there yet? No, we're not. This is a good win and a very good performance, but I believe we'll get stronger and stronger and better, I really do.
Stevenage Borough won 2-1 at Plymouth, and Wickham are up to 2nd in the table after a 2-1 win at home to Hartlepool. The Wanderers are now only a point behind the league leaders, and manager Gareth Ainsworth is delighted with their form.
The first 25 minutes we were by far the better side. We could have had 2 or 3. We got 1. Harry, great finish from him, but then we let him in with a sloppy goal, really. A sloppy goal just before half time that gives the team a boost. So. But some of the toughest decisions were leaving players out, and that's what it's going to be here because we're so good as a level, as a whole. It's not like there's a player can just say definitely out every week. It's tough, but great win, yeah.
Iceland has become the smallest country to qualify for the European Championships, but a draw against Israel wasn't enough to confirm Wales's place in the finals. And in rugby, Bedford won their championship match at Bristol by 29 points to 23. BBC Three Counties News and Sport, more at 8 o'clock.
Well, I'm not the kind to kiss and tell, but I've been seen with fire up. I've never been with anything less than a 9. So fine, I've been on fire with Sally Field, gone past with a girl named Bo, but somehow they just don't end up as mine. It's a death-defying life I lead. I take my chances. I die for living in the movies and TV. But the hardest thing I ever do is watch my leading ladies kiss some other guy while I'm bandaging my knee. I might fall from a tall building, I might roll a brand new car, 'cause I'm the unknown stuntman that made Redford such a star.
Oh, I've got the best phone in ever. It's taken a week of percolating. Percolating.
I've never spent much time in school, but I taught ladies plenty. It's true, I hire my body out for pay. Hey, hey. I've gotten burned over Cheryl Teague's, blown up for Raquel Welch. But when I wind up in the hay, it's only hay. Hey, hey, I might jump an open drawbridge or Tarzan from a vine, 'cause I'm the unknown stuntman that makes Eastwood look so fine.
It's taken a week of intense negotiations with my brain. I finally got a phone in based on the Fall Guy theme, and Scott Balcony said at the beginning of the Fall Guy, he has an early version of a hot tub outside.
Yeah.
And the water's right up to the top.
He's got his hat on.
He's got his hat on, and he goes under the water, right? And so Scott Balcony would when he was a kid, would say, "Mum, Mum!"
He's more common than that.
"Nan, Nan!"
That's more like it.
"Look at what, Scott! I want a Fall Guy bath, Mum! You can't have one!" Obviously, now judging by the differences in shouting there, they're stood next to each other. I don't know. Neither is up or down the stairs. "You can't have one, we've got no money." His mum was Bruce Forsyth. Right. So, and it just reminded me, when I was a kid, there was, this is quite a niche phone-in, but we can make this work.
Go on, tell me.
When I was a kid, when Doctor Who was played by Peter Davison, the fifth Doctor, and I would say...
I used to fancy him a bit.
Oh, and he used to fancy himself, apparently, if legend be believed.
Oh,
he would
really?
chat up women 15 years after Doctor Who, saying, "You know I was Doctor Who." Apparently, I've heard from a reliable source. So there was an episode of Doctor Who where the TARDIS went mash up. The TARDIS went completely mash up, right? And I don't know
Taking it to that shop you went to.
Exactly. "You don't know how to fix a time machine. Get out of my shop!"
Don't mention trading standards, that's illegal.
So where the TARDIS went mash up, right? And so he's in the TARDIS, but then the TARDIS is in the TARDIS. So he went in the TARDIS, and then there's another TARDIS in the TARDIS. There was an infinite number of TARDI.
Stop saying TARDIS.
TARDI. There were an infinite number of TARDI within each other, and I used to like TARDI. Once I worked out how to do it, it's just a bit of string around a T-shirt and
some vegetable oil or whatever in that.
So anyway, he kept going in loads of different TARDI. So you go in a TARDI and there's another one, go in one and go in another, go in another one, there's another one, right? And it reminded me that when, I would recreate that scene in my bathroom, the bathroom that I visited just a few weeks ago. When was he Doctor Who? He was probably Doctor Who in 82, I'm going to say, so I'd have been 9.
I'd have been 5.
I used to walk around the edge of the bath and around the shower curtain, recreating that scene.
Right.
So every time I walked round the bath once, that was me going out in one TARDIS and then walk round the shower curtain, and then I was in another TARDIS. And I'd be like, "Oh, flip." And it would go on until I got bored.
Mm-hmm.
So, this is very, very niche, and I need to shave off some of the words. How has television affected your bath time?
Oh, it's got to be baths.
It's got to be... I don't know, bathrooms... No, let's start. No, let's bring them up to our level. How has television affected your baths?
Right.
03459 455 555.
Splash.
Yeah.
I did the Daryl Hannah thing. I'd wrap my legs in a towel.
What?
In the bath, so that I could make myself a tail.
Tell me how you say. How has popular culture affected your bath time, Kelly?
Oh, and George's Marvellous Medicine, we used to make that. Because, you know, Rick Mayall did that. He did the brilliant Jackanory where he trashed the place.
Yeah.
We did that a few times.
Okay. Kelly's turn. It's a very niche one. Do you need some more time to make something up?
No, I didn't really like the plug hole because of the film with the clown in. And he came from the drains. Yeah, I didn't.
You should have been watching that as a kid.
I know, I shouldn't have watched a lot of things when I was a kid.
Ladies and gentlemen, how is... I know it's niche, but this is golden.
Oh, also...
Here we go, look, we can't stop you now.
I did that thing with my jeans as well.
Yeah.
I put my jeans on and got in the bath.
Oh, like the advert?
Yeah.
That was the advert.
Didn't do anything, it just had cold, wet jeans on.
I seem to remember playing a Pink Panther-style game in the bath as well, but I don't quite know what.
The bath was the time when I was unsupervised the most as a child.
Magical.
That's certainly not safe, is it?
Magical times. How has popular culture affected your bath time? I know it's niche, but 03459, your wits end. 03459. We're all thinking the same thing, apart from anybody listening to the show and doesn't get the reference. 03459 455 555. You can text 81333. Start your text 3CR. Justin, has popular culture, films, TV, adverts, songs ever affected your bath time?
I mean, what I used to do back in the day, I used to have this portable television. So what I used to do was take it out of my bedroom.
Oh.
I used to plug it in very near to the bath and watch some of my favourite TV programmes in the bath. That's what I used to do, and I'm still alive and kicking.
Tell me what you used to watch.
Well, it was Coronation Street, Question of Sport, those types of programmes, something I could relax to.
You've just reminded me. I used to take the black and white... I have a bath on a Sunday afternoon. I'd take the black and white portable into the bathroom and I'd watch Happy Days.
Exactly.
I'd watch
great
the
times.
Fonz in the... Oh, this is... All right. How is popular culture... This is going to work. This is going to run and run. Here, press record and play. Forget the Gillard stuff we sent in. This is it. This is it. Start up the Sonys again. We're back. How has popular culture affected your bath time, please? 03459 455 555. Catherine's got her hand up.
I've got one already from Tony, but I don't really see how it's... But anyway, I'll read it out. A Fall Guy bath, says Tony. We used to have a Planet of the Apes bath. 3 kids in the bath at one time. We once flooded the kitchen with the bath water. We kept topping up the bath with warm water so the water came up to our necks. Mum smacked our bum and we missed Planet of the Apes and were sent to bed. A wet bum smack. Ouch.
I don't remember the bathing scenes in Planet of the Apes. I remember Planet of the Apes.
I didn't think apes like water.
By the way, guys, if anyone wants to do a comedy series about old people living in a care home, Planet of the Apes, you can have that. You can have that. But Planet of the Apes, I don't remember a bathing scene. I do remember interspecies love. I remember man on monkey action. There was a sexy monkey.
But she still looked like a monkey. She had a hairy face.
But she had a hot voice, just like the lady who did the Caramel Bunny. She had a hairy face in real life.
Yes. This is the cunning thing they did to make the animals attractive in cartoons and in these films.
Yeah.
Eyeliner. Bit of eyeliner, bit of mascara. You guys would kiss anything.
Oh,
Jessica Rabbit. Oh,
she wasn't an actual rabbit, though.
Yeah, but she was smoking. However you dressed it up,
she was smoking. Is that why you liked her? So she could light your fags for you?
Beautiful.
Thank you. Sorry, I've just realised I've just trashed an actual Dealey fantasy, and I apologise for that. That was disrespectful, and I take that back.
On the chin.
I heard that rumour. Anyway, how has popular culture affected your bath time? Oh, it was no, was it Logopolis? I thought it was, but I thought that was a Tom Baker. Anyway, 0345, let it go. 03459.
Have you aroused the wrath of the Whovians?
Yeah. You're thinking of the Wrath of Khan, Star Trek 2.
Oh, that slug in the ear.
03459 for the Babelfish. No, the Babelfish was Hitchhiker's Guide. Anyway, stop it! I killed that nerd many years ago. He doesn't exist anymore.
I've seen him a few times.
03459 455 555. Now, Justin, we had to bump this last week because it was a pretty argumentative show.
Yes.
You've started... you've started to work less for the same money.
I think you mean work more.
Well, no, hang on a minute. You've stopped doing Voxes, and now you're getting the listeners to go and do them for you.
Yeah, but I'm still out there with them. I'm teaching them the tips of the trade, so effectively I'm working, doubly as hard.
Wow, in that case, guys, the big boss is in tomorrow, Justin. Do you want me to have a word?
That is going to be an interesting day tomorrow. Thoroughly looking forward to that one.
We're all on our best behaviour. Tomorrow, I'm going to even wear trousers. So you have got this thing, and it is excellent. You take, if a listener wants to get involved, you will take them to the streets.
Yeah.
Who is it this week?
It's Carpet Martin. We've had Colin from Dunstable who took What's the Sexiest Thing About Dunstable to the streets. We also had Peter from Walmer Green asking the question, Jeremy Corbyn, what is it about Jeremy Corbyn that you like? Yeah. This week it's Carpet Martin. He wanted to go out into the streets and he wanted to ask the question about how people were feeling and what was going on. It was a bit of a random question, but he took it to the streets and he did a fantastic job. Here's what happened.
Taking it to the streets with Carpet Martin. Hashtag, what are you thinking?
I've got one question and one question only. What are you thinking?
What?
What am I thinking? I'm thinking, where's the person I'm supposed to meet?
Just noticed from a distance, you have a tattoo on your leg.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
What does that symbolise?
Well, I've got the club and country.
Oh, Middlesbrough fan?
Yeah, club on one leg, country on the other leg.
Very nice,
Yeah.
very nice. Patriotic. Street Boys, one question, and one question only for both of you. What are you thinking?
I'm thinking I can drink my coffee in peace. Is that right?
It's getting a bit tense, boys. Should we back off?
Yeah,
No worries.
leave you to your
Cheers, guys. Thanks very
lattes. For anybody who's listening to this and editing it, I just watched Justin Dealey absolutely bottle himself. Can we ask, where's your dentist? Where did you get your teeth done? You've got a couple of beautiful gold pearlers. Where did they come from?
In the optician. Yeah.
In the opticians. Very quick question. What are you thinking?
Well, at the moment, what am I going to get for shopping?
Which shops are you going to?
Asda.
Do you prefer bananas long or chopped?
Either way, because it don't really matter. I buy them long and I chop them up anyway, so...
All goes to the same place, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yep.
Thanks.
All right, thank you.
Princess, what are you thinking?
Don't know. I wonder what you're doing at the moment.
What am I thinking?
Yeah.
It's cold. It's getting cold. Winter's coming on.
Mick, you've got a wonderful head of hair. If you don't mind me saying so, you're a slightly older gentleman, but you're not losing it at all. What are the tips for keeping such a fine mane?
Oh, live life outrageously.
You're on your way to yoga? Well, then I have one question and one question only before you go. What's your favourite yoga position?
Downward dog.
Downward dog?
You've got to respect that, Justin. It got tense out there, you were telling me.
Well, it did, yeah, it did. Got very tense. And people don't believe me. When I say it gets tense out on the streets, it's only when people come out with me, they realise that sometimes you can get abused out there.
Carpet Martin, excellent stuff. Well done indeed. A regular tweeter and now a contributor on air. If people want to go out on the streets with you, Justin, what do they do?
All they have to do is phone in right now, 03459 455 555, or tweet me at Justin Dealey. Lots of people lined up already. This is something which I don't think any other radio station in the country is doing. If you want to come out, you need to have a question, though. What is your question for the streets? I'll take you out for a good hour or so. We'll have some good times out there, and we'll play it on the radio as well.
Thank you, Geezer!
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Well, it's really slow on the anti-clockwise M25. Between 26 and 25, Waltham Abbey to Enfield, a van's broken down. It's in the left lane, and that's the cause of the queue from junction 27. That's the M11, in fact, queues from before then. Anti-clockwise, usual congestion from the M1 down to the M40. The M40 really slow this morning. Southbound in the Stoke and Church cutting, heading up the hill is slow. And then usual delays, I would say, down towards High Wycombe at junction 4. The A1M, very heavy passing Stevenage. And A505 in Royston's partially blocked with a car that was on fire earlier at the junction of Baldock Road. Really slow into Clop Hill this morning on the speed centres, especially on the southbound A6 just spotted, and A10 into London slow to the North Circular. The slip road onto the eastbound North Circular from the A10 is now open, but there's still a long queue. James Worley, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you, James. I've got 3 cracking how has popular culture affected your bath time. 2 of them are really actually quite upsetting. 03459 455 555. How have cartoons, songs, films, adverts, TV programmes affected your bath time? I'm going to leave it at that and see what you come up with. 7:47, these are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. A group of men who abused 2 young girls in Aylesbury will be sentenced later today. Only 3 people have been charged with animal theft in Bedfordshire since 2012, despite nearly 900 reports of pets being stolen. And Hertfordshire's Lewis Hamilton is the weather.
Beds, Hearts and Bucks weather.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Good morning. It's a beautiful start to the day, if a little chilly. We've got high pressure dominating our weather for the next few days, but it does mean some chilly nights. And for this morning, we're down at around 5 Celsius at the moment, which means it is fairly chilly out in the countryside. Elsewhere, we're getting up to around 8 or 9, but it is quite a stark contrast to what we've been used to. But the sunshine doing its job nicely, and it should be quite warm by the end of the afternoon. We're looking at a maximum of around 18 Celsius. Now, overnight tonight, Still some patchy cloud, but clear spells again. Not quite as chilly as last night, but still you will feel it, 10 Celsius being the minimum. And tomorrow there is more cloud. It's quite high, so we're still going to get some bright spells, maybe some sunny spells, with temperatures the same at around 18 Celsius. Now, as we head further through the week, we're chasing cloud and sunny spells, but it's staying predominantly dry. The heat increases through Thursday and Friday, more in the way of sunshine, but with this additional heat means we could see maybe a shower as we head through Friday. And that's your forecast.
On BBC Two.
He contributed so much, shortening the war by 2 years. Good heavens.
Alongside Alan Turing, Gordon Welshman was a World War II code-breaking genius.
If people knew how absolutely he was the kind of spine of the entire Bletchley Park operation, then they would look at him in a completely new way.
So what led to him being written out of history?
It seems to me that some of the things have been kept secret too long.
The Make It Digital season explores Bletchley Park, Code-Breaking's forgotten genius.
Yeah.
Tonight at 9 on BBC Two and BBC Two HD.
You know, we've had Turing. The Turing Shroud.
They want to make a film about that girl in the opening titles of the introductory film.
That's you!
Yeah.
That's you. You don't make a film about you. Although in 50 years' time, they'll probably be doing something on local radio. The unsung heroes of Bletchley Park visitor attraction. She was just an ordinary producer working on local radio. Then she went in and filmed a short 10-second piece for the introductory video at Bletchley Park.
Yeah, but I mean, no one looks over their shoulder like I do.
Well, you have to, because those threats that I keep issuing. So we're asking, how has popular culture...
I've just thought, my kids do it as well in the bath.
What?
They do the Silly Bang adverts.
What's his name? Barry Wong?
Barry Scott.
Barry Scott. Who's Barry Wong?
Oh, no, it's not Silly Bang. It's They do Silly Bang, but they particularly like
Please
at the
stop
moment,
saying Silly Bang, because it worries me.
Vanish.
How do
Right.
they do the Vanish
They'll
ads?
go, one of them will say to the other, look at this on my new top, blackcurrant juice. And the other one says, I know how to get rid of that. All you do is this. And they take you
Wow.
through the demonstration.
Let's hear. I've got a really sad one from Scott, who started this one. It's heartbreaking.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I know. Well, yeah. Let's go to Sam first. Morning, Sam.
Good morning.
Sam, how did popular culture impact on your bath time?
Well, I had the misfortune of watching American Psycho at quite a young age.
I've got to say, I've never seen that film. I've only seen 2 scenes that Justin Dealey, if you're sat with Justin long enough, he'll pull up 2 of the most horrific scenes, one sexual, one violent. No, one sexual, one sexually violent. And he'll show... Here, geez, have a look at this. It's Dealey's favourite film, and it's flipping horrible. How old were you when you watched American Psycho?
About 7 or 8.
Oh, God, I'm so sorry, mate. I'm
Something
so
like that.
sorry. On behalf of everybody, I apologise to you. Go on, so how did it impact on your life?
Well, obviously, there's the iconic scene, someone in a shower, like, with a knife.
Oh, hang on a minute. Hang on a minute.
You're talking about Psycho. You're talking about Psycho.
You're talking about Psycho.
Whatever.
Well, no, you can't say whatever, because they're 2 completely different films. There's American Psycho, which is all about taking drugs and having aggressive nookie. By the way, great name for a band. And then there's Psycho, which is about the woman being... it's about a bloke who dresses up as his mum. You watch Psycho.
One's got better shoes.
OK,
Right.
well, suddenly I'm not so sympathetic. Go on, OK.
Right. And then for years, it was years after that, every time I used to go in the bathroom, my mum and dad always kept the curtain drawn across the bath. I don't know why.
Yeah.
But I'd go in and I'd like give the curtain a quick punch. Right, I know you're in there. I know you're in there.
Oh,
I'd
man.
have to whip it back right quick.
And was there ever anybody in there?
No, never.
Here's the thing, right? If your dad was of any merit, he would have hidden in there one
Oh,
day,
no.
knowing that
He
that's
would.
what you did. Your dad, and I would do this. Your dad should have hidden in there. After about 6 months of you doing it, right, I'm going to teach him a lesson. Not only have I made him watch quite a traumatic film that's way above his age range, I'm going to hide behind that shower curtain. Do you still get the urge every now and then, Sam?
Yeah, now and then. But not normally, because I've got my own house now. I just keep the curtain pulled back.
Sam, thank you very much indeed. Well, yes, thank goodness it wasn't American Psycho that he watched. So Scott, who started this whole thing, right, with his Fall Guy bath, that's a bit of fun.
It is. It's cheeky.
It's cheeky. This is heartbreaking.
Go on.
He's DM'd me, which I think he means he doesn't want this to be read out in public.
You're going to Scudamore him.
Am I? Another bath time thing. I used to...
Don't laugh. Be sensitive. Do your sensitive voice.
Another bath time thing. I used to line up small glasses full of bath water and then pretend to down them like Angie Watts from EastEnders. He used to pretend to be an unhappy, alcoholic, middle-aged woman in his bath. Oh dear. 03459 455 555 is the telephone number. How has popular culture impacted on your bath time? Do you want to read that? Can you see that text
yeah,
from Nikki? Go on, you do that.
Me and my brother Stephen used to pretend we were on a cooking programme in the bath. We used bubble bath, flannels, etc., and make up pretend recipes that would make us sick and get us the day off school.
It's got to be said, there is a very...
Sucking a sponge.
Well...
Or a flannel.
Wasn't that a Stu Francis catchphrase? Orchid, suck a sponge. There's something very... I think every bathwater tastes the same. It's just that slightly tepid temperature, a little bit greasy, and just that taste of dirt.
Slightly salty.
Slightly salty. 03459 455 555 is the telephone number. How has popular culture impacted on your bath? And Kyle says on Twitter, I had nightmares about baths for months after the dead bloke in the bath in The Shining. I was 6. Okay, well, this... Kyle and Sam, our last caller, what films did you watch when you were way too young to watch them? I didn't watch it, but we were one of the first people in our streets to have... a video player. We had a Betamax video player. We weren't allowed to tell anyone we had it. We had to hide it behind the sofa because it was nicked. My dad had bought it off someone. It was hooky. And I remember my dad coming home and saying to my mum, I've got it. She said, what? Got the video that we're talking about. She said, what's that? Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Now, I think it had just been banned, and so it was like hot property.
You know what they used to call them? Video nasties.
Video nasties, right. And I said, oh, Dad, can I watch it? No, son. Dad, please, can I watch the Texas Chainsaw? No, son, you're never watching this film. So suddenly, 6-year-old, probably about 7-year-old me is thinking, oh, this sounds flipping brilliant. One night, I went to bed, and it was the night that my parents chose to watch the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Now, I have since seen the film. There is a 25-minute chase where the woman, the lone survivor of the group, is being chased by Leatherface, the gentleman with the chainsaw in question. For that 25 minutes, she's screaming constantly, and all you hear is... I lay in bed crying to myself as I heard that video being played downstairs at full pelt. It was... They had it loud. There was no, careful, the kids might hear. They were playing it loud and indeed proud. The full-on Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And because I wasn't seeing it, I mean, it is a flipping horrible film. Because I wasn't seeing it, it made it even worse.
So what's his name? Leatherface?
Leatherface.
I used to think his name was the Texas Chainsaw Masochist.
No.
Turns out that would have been a really short film.
Nigel's on the line. Morning, Nigel.
Good morning. Good morning. Hello there.
Steady. Never mind. Yes.
Mine's not to do with the actual bath. It's actually to do with the bathroom.
That counts. Go on.
Doctor Who, Tom Bakerish. He was on a. I think it might have been a either an oil rig or something like that in the water, and they were being attacked by a sort of, I would call it an octopus-style monster.
An octopus-style monster was attacking Doctor Who on an oil rig. Already it sounds awesome.
Right, okay. I was about 7 or 8, and one of the guys got killed by a tentacle coming through a pipe. It took me probably 2 months...
Hang on, Nigel, you just dropped off there. How did the man die?
He was killed by a tentacle coming through a pipe and coming through a hole and coming through the bathroom.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
It took me 2 to 3 months to be able to go to the toilet without having to double check that the tentacle wasn't going to
Oh! Again, Nigel, I've got to move on, but thank you for that. Again, any dad worth his salt would have bought a rubber tentacle and shoved that down the loo, wouldn't they? Or put a tiny little plastic octopus and said, oh, look, it's our babies. You'd do something like that. Nigel, thank you. OK, we're on to a winner here. How has popular culture impacted on your bath time? And what films did you watch when you were way too young to watch them, please?
Have you seen Mark in Bedford's text?
Give us Mark's text, go on.
My bath time was affected by Man from Atlantis starring Patrick Duffy.
Oh, yeah.
I would construct a wall of bubbles with 2 clear areas at each end. The goal was to jump in one end, swim under the wall and then leap from the other like a performing dolphin. Duffy could do this quite gracefully. I could never quite get the run up.
You've given me another phone in. Oh, now what did your mum used to say about people on the telly? Right? Because every time Patrick Duffy came on the telly, my mum would say, "Oh, he's a Buddhist, a bit weird."
Oh, my mum said, "Looks like your dad."
We can start with what did your mum say about Patrick Duffy, but then we can expand it. What did these are phone in gold. It's up there with celebrity handkerchiefs.
I'll go and get the whiteboard.
Please do, ladies and gentlemen. So far we've got: how has popular culture impacted on your bath time? Scary films you watched when you were way too young. And what did your mum used to say, A, about Patrick Duffy, and B, anybody else that came on the television? Cat Stevens when he became a Muslim. Oh, I used to like him before he went all weird. 03459 455 555.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Slow on the M40 southbound in the Stoke-on-Church cutting this morning, and then delays down to the High Wycombe exit. Really slow into London, by the way, on the A40 all the way in from RAF Northolt. Anti-clockwise M25, slow towards junction 26 because of an accident earlier. It's slow moving from the M1 down to the M40 this morning. Usual delays on the A1M passing Stevenage, and the A505 at Bulldogs partially blocked because of a car that was on fire earlier. James Worley, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Turn the microphone on and it works a whole lot better. Thank you very much, James. It's going to be a busy last hour, guys. I think I'm going to have to go and do a wee. See you after the news with Lee.
Local and vocal across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's 8 o'clock, I'm Lee Agnew. The headlines: Aylesbury sex offenders to be sentenced today. Calls for Bedfordshire police to take pet theft more seriously. A victory for Lewis Hamilton at the Italian Grand Prix.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
6 members of a child sex ring in Aylesbury are being sentenced at the Old Bailey today. The men abused 2 schoolgirls over a 6-year period. Jenny Pearce from the University of Bedfordshire, who's an expert in child exploitation, says there are lessons to be learned.
We've just got to get better at noticing when vulnerable young people are being targeted and abused. We've got to get our radars more tuned into this. You know, if a young person is coming home late at night and suddenly has got jewellery or has suddenly got a couple of bottles of this, that or the other alcohol, where are they getting that from?
The Prime Minister is expected to announce how many Syrian migrants the UK is prepared to accept. The government plans to resettle more people from camps near Syria rather than those who've already reached Europe. Here's Chris Mason.
David Cameron will set out the first details of the government's plans this afternoon. The Chancellor, George Osborne, has already said the UK's international aid budget will be used to help cover the costs over the first year. But with immigration a concern to so many, ministers are aware of the need to balance the instinct to help those in need with ensuring what is offered is seen as sustainable.
There are calls for Bedfordshire police to take pet theft more seriously. Nearly 900 pets have been reported stolen in the county over the past 3 years, but only 3 people have been charged. New figures show there's been a 70% rise in hate crimes against Muslims in London. It's believed the actions of radical Islamists abroad have caused the increase. Maina Begum says she was attacked in the street by a woman with a knife.
She pulled my face veil down and she pushed me to the floor. Because it was such a busy road and, there was people opposite at the pub. They were just, they were just watching us. And I think that just because of the way I dress, people don't think I'm worth sort of rescuing.
In sport, Hertfordshire's Lewis Hamilton won the Italian Grand Prix at Monza. It puts him 53 points ahead of Nico Rosberg, whose engine failed with 2 laps remaining. Hamilton was cleared of infringing tyre pressure rules and had some words of sympathy for his teammate.
Nico was really unfortunate. The guys worked so hard to bring these engines here, and then to have something small get in the way, which meant he had to go back to an older engine which had done so many races already. It was already on the limit to see whether it could finish the race. So really unfortunate for him in that sense. but I know that, he's a very, very strong driver, both mentally and physically, and he will come back strong in the next race.
And the weather will be chilly at first, but warming up to leave a dry day with sunny spells. Top temperatures around 18 degrees Celsius, that's 64 degrees Fahrenheit. Get the latest news and sport online at bbc.co.uk/3counties.
Thank you, Lee. Morning, Iain Lee, BBC Three Counties Radio. So far, lots to talk about. How has popular culture, films, songs, adverts, posters impacted on your bath time? Films you watched when you were way too young. What did your mum used to say about Patrick Duffy when he came on the TV? My mum would go, oh, he's so dishy, but he's a Buddhist. Weird. And what did your mum say about anybody that came on TV? And what's the longest you've ever stayed in a shop after I spent an hour and 15 minutes having a very, very awkward standoff in a shop that hadn't fixed my phone correctly? An hour and 15 minutes of both of us being, well, uncomfortable. The longest you spent in a shop, please. 81333. Start your text 3CR. You can email ian.lee@bbc.co.uk. I'd rather, of course, you called in 03459 455 555. Oh, and I don't say this often enough. People say, oh, I can't afford to call in, I've got no credit. You call in, and then we call you back. So you don't cost. We call you back. And also, if you've got no credit to make a phone call, you can send us a text saying, I've got no credit to make a phone call. Can you give us a call? We'll even do that, guys. What the heck? We're not paying for it. 81333. Start your text 3CR 03459 455 555.
Across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
6 members of a child sex ring in Aylesbury will be sentenced today at the Old Bailey. They're facing lengthy jail sentences for taking part in the abuse of 2 schoolgirls involving rape and child prostitution. The abuse took place over a period of 6 years. David Johnston is Managing Director of Children's Social Care and Learning at Bucks County Council, joins me now. David, are the council happy with the way this case has turned out?
In terms of the quality of the investigation and bringing the matter to court, getting these convictions, yes, it is a good signal to those who might want to continue with this sort of behaviour or to exploit children in the future.
Do you think that Bucks County Council comes out of it particularly well?
No, I don't think that when you see the neglect or abuse of any child over a period of time that those of us who work in the public sector can say we've done a spectacularly or a great job for any child. However, it came better in the end when people coordinated their efforts really well and brought about these things. But we have to remember that the nature of this crime is in itself very secretive and manipulative, and quite often the victims don't realise that they are victims of crime, and therefore they don't feel that they need to tell people what is happening to them because they've been put into a situation by the abusers who will help them or who would encourage them to think that this sort of behaviour is okay. They would normalise it for them.
You say there's now more of a joined-up thinking between agencies. Why is it taking so long to happen?
Well, I think that there was always a joined-up approach to working with children. The issue was that we all, and I'm saying collectively across agencies, didn't always recognise what the behaviour of young people was telling us. For example, if somebody wasn't attending school on a frequent basis, some years ago that might have been seen as a matter for school attendance rather than looking at the other behaviours that might go along with that, which would tell you that a child is at risk.
What effect does how will the victims of this be affected by the result of the case and the culmination of all these investigations?
I hope that the effect of today will bring some closure and some result for those young people, because they have suffered over a long period of time. This shows some recognition by society at large that harm had been done to them, and that the people who did this are going to be held properly responsible. But the impact on them will be long-lasting, I'm sure, because they have missed out on a great deal of what you'd normally expect in childhood, and that the support that they will need to get themselves onto a strong footing as young adults, we would want to support them that alongside other agencies.
What are you going to do to do your best to ensure this doesn't happen again?
Well, since I took up post last December, the local authority has reviewed a lot of its procedures and its standards of practice. But we have worked very closely, especially with the police, colleagues in health and schools, to, one, raise awareness across all of the schools in telling young people how to identify when people are beginning to manipulate them and the consequences of that manipulation. We've also set up a specialist social work and police team called the SWAN Unit to particularly focus on those children who are being abused or who are at risk of being abused. And this is to complement the long-standing work we've been doing with Bernardo's through Are You Safe, in order to provide guidance and support to those who might think themselves or a friend to be at risk.
Listen, I know you've not been in the job for very long, but we're skirting around the issue that Bucks County Council balls this up, didn't they?
I would say that there was opportunities that were missed.
Yeah, concerns were raised. I'm reading from. Let me just read from this because I want the listeners to know, because I want everyone to know. I'm reading from buckinghamtoday.co.uk. Bucks County Council took insufficient action on concerns raised by Charity Bernardo's, which could have stopped the abuse of 2 young girls in the Aylesbury sex ring. Bernardo's worked with the ring's 2 victims in 2008 and referred the case to the council and other agencies. This is by Adam King. So 7 years ago, Bucks County Council were told about this.
From the records, that would appear to be the case.
7 years ago. What did Bucks County Council do?
But Bucks County Council, as far as I can tell at this stage, did draw together all of the agencies that were concerned, and people went away and took a number of tasks to undertake. However, you're quite right. The abuse wasn't stopped.
It went on for It went on for quite a few years, didn't it? So they obviously didn't do it. You obviously didn't do it. And I know it's not you personally. I'm speaking you as an organisation, as a council.
I understand that.
You didn't do anywhere near enough as Bucks County Council.
I think that before the police, the local authority or other agencies can do, we need to understand the nature of what has gone on. And as I've explained a few moments ago, sometimes the children who are being abused don't recognise that they are being abused.
But these children did recognise they were being abused. They told Bernardo's told Bucks County Council. Bucks County Council, it would appear, did nothing, or at best very, very little, and certainly didn't stop the abuse happening.
I don't think you can say that the Bucks County Council did nothing.
You didn't stop the abuse happening.
But they may have not been able to do sufficient to stop the abuse happening. I think that is correct.
Well, how are you going to give confidence to young girls that are being abused now, or young boys, that you will be able to stop it?
Okay. What we have, I'll just reiterate a couple of things. We are working
Please don't reiterate the point that sometimes young people don't know they're being sexually abused, because these young girls did know they were being sexually abused, and they reported it, and Bernardo's reported it to Bucks County Council.
Okay. Let me then answer your question. The reason why people can come forward now is to know that we, alongside the police, Bernardo's, schools and other people, will listen. We will investigate things, and today's the convictions recently and today's sentencing is some proof of that. We have put a lot of resource and training into our social work staff and to the staff of other agencies, and we have also had a significant programme of raising awareness for parents. We have a number of events for parents.
But the kids, because the kids reported it to Bernardo's. Bernardo's told Bucks County Council, and what I'm hearing from you, and again, I respect that you've not been in the. I don't think you've been in the job a year, and so you weren't. This isn't you specifically. But what it seems you're doing is you're putting the onus on the victims and the families of the victims. It was reported to Bucks County Council. Bucks County Council did not stop it.
Well, Bucks County Council won't tolerate anybody not investigating or supporting young people who raise concerns either directly with us, through schools, through friends, or with the police. We have set up a specialist unit, and we have also made our staff more aware of the sorts of behaviours that young people demonstrate. And you're quite right, if somebody comes forward and says, I'm concerned for myself, I'm concerned for my friend, it requires quick action in order to address their concerns.
And you can guarantee now that the system has been changed and it's been implemented, that if an organisation like Bernardo's or young people get in touch with Bucks County Council, you will investigate it thoroughly and you can prevent another situation like this happening, or at least developing.
Yes, I can confirm that, but I can also say that following the concerns that you have rightly raised here, we have reviewed what happened with Bernardo's very recently and re-established how we were going to maintain a security around escalation, because if somebody isn't listening to them, to anybody, and that includes Bernardo's or any other agency or member of the public, they should escalate it to a more senior position in the authority and ultimately to me or to the chief executive.
You got enough social workers?
Well, you never say you have too much when you have, but we have increased the number of social workers fairly significantly over the last 10 months. We have a difficulty.
You've had to do that, haven't you? Because Ofsted ruled that the Bucks County Council's children's services were inadequate. It said, quote, failures by Bucks safeguarding services are widespread and serious. The result is that children are not being effectively protected. That was last year, wasn't it?
That's correct. That was in August of last year.
So a year ago. And that's improved you've improved that in the last 12 months. If Ofsted were to come in today, you get a much better report.
We'd get an improved report, certainly, because we have invested very heavily in our staffing. We have also reviewed our procedures, our policies, and we have dealt with practice where it hasn't been good enough. But there's always room for improvement, and we will continue to work at that.
OK, David Johnson, again, I appreciate that you've not been in the job when this was reported, but I appreciate you answering this question. David Johnson, Managing Director of Children's Social Care and Learning at Bucks County Council. BBC Three Counties Radio, let's get the travel.
Travel news for beds, cards and Bucks.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Well, the southbound M40 was partially blocked at the top of the Stoke Church cutting between junction 6 and 5, of course, because of an accident. Looking at the cameras, I think all the vehicles are on the hard shoulder, but it is really slow on the southbound M40 towards Stoke Church. And there are also delays on the A40, long delays into London this morning from RAF Northolt. Just south of High Wycombe, actually, if you're heading down the 404, that's really slow down towards Marlow and Maidenhead. And the M1 southbound, usual congestion passing Toddington services, and then south of Luton down towards junction 9, slow moving. A1M, usual congestion passing Stevenage this morning on the southbound side. Very busy also on the A41 through the Kings Langley area towards the motorway. M25 itself anti-clockwise, slow moving down towards the M40, and the A10 slow at Cheshunt down to the M25, and then there are long delays into London this morning on the A10, all because of earlier problems at the Great Cambridge interchange. James Worley, BBC Three Counties Radio.
James, thank you very much indeed. Someone who knows what they're doing. Well done, James. 8:17. It is Monday the 7th of September. I'm Iain Lee. These are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. A group of men who abused two schoolgirls in Aylesbury are likely to get long prison sentences today. David Cameron will say today how many refugees Britain will take from Syria, and Bedfordshire police are being urged to take reports of pet theft in the county more seriously.
If you've missed any of the programmes here on BBC Three Counties Radio, you've missed things like this.
So we're now in 1996. The Stone Roses get back together to headline the festival. They end up playing their worst gig of all time.
But there is a way you can hear it all again.
Warning, you are losing vast days of your life to the after effects of heavy drinking.
bbc.co.uk/Three Counties Radio.
You've been crowned the first ever World Masters champion in the over 80s category for the Scottish Highlander Games.
That's right, yeah.
Allowing you to listen to what you missed.
What a way to open a theatrical hour here on BBC Three Counties Radio.
bbc.co.uk/Three Counties Radio.
03459 455 555 is the telephone number. How has bath time? No, hang on a second. Let me just rewind. How has popular culture impacted on your bath time? What did your mum say about Patrick Duffy when he came on the telly? What did your parents say about anybody when they came on the television? And the longest that you've ever stayed in a shop, please. 03459 455 555.
Did you also ask films you were too young for?
Oh yeah, films that you watched when you were way too young. I remember watching Creepshow at the age of about 9. Now Creepshow, by today's standards, is quite tame. To a 9-year-old, oh, it's flipping awful.
My mum went and
terrifying.
My mum went and got Dot and the Kangaroo from the video shop.
Dot and the Kangaroo?
Yeah, Dot and the Kangaroo, not Dotton.
I think it meant Dotton Adebayo, the enthusiastic broadcaster.
It was supposed to be a light-hearted look at bush life. They put the wrong video in, but my mum didn't realise till she came back in after making a cup of tea.
Aye.
I said, "There's Dot, but I don't see a kangaroo."
Ooh.
Dot was, I mean,
was it?
But well,
was it?
It was the bush, but it wasn't.
Oh no! Please. That's. I mean, we don't need anything. Gosh, there's an image for us to ponder. 03459 455 555. Now, it's a story that we keep coming back to, and a guest that we keep coming back to. The sister of a Stevenage man who died when he couldn't afford to feed himself or pay his bills is urging the government to reconsider its stance on benefit sanctions. David Clapson was a diabetic ex-serviceman. He died, you remember this, we've talked about this loads, and it's a really sad story. He died in July 2013, 2 weeks after having his benefits stopped. His inability to pay for electricity meant that he couldn't refrigerate his insulin. His sister Jill Thompson's on the line now. Morning, Jill.
Morning.
Nice to talk to you again. Just for those people who maybe missed this story or need a little reminder, David was not a slacker by any chance at all, was he? He died, and there was a big pile of CVs in his flat, weren't there?
Yeah, I've still got the CVs.
Oh,
he worked for 29 years of his life. He was a soldier in Northern Ireland. He was a combat radio operator. When he left the army, he worked for 29 years. And then he became carer for our mother.
And he just had a run of bad luck as well, didn't he? It's just that thing that could happen to anybody. You care for someone and there's a little bit of bad luck, and he got himself into quite a bit of trouble.
Well, he just found a time in his life where he couldn't cope, and he needed support. And sadly, not. I mean, he was going to the job centres. He was doing what he was told. He'd done 2 placements. He'd done a computer course. He was doing his best, and for missing a meeting, he was sanctioned. And because he was a type 1 diabetic, he had no food in his stomach, he had no electricity to cool his insulin, and he was found dead.
He had a tin of sardines and some tea bags, and he was a very proud man, wasn't he?
He was very quiet and very private, our David. He never said much, only when it came to history and music. But he never even told me he'd been sanctioned. And I found out afterwards, when he was found dead. I just want to thank everyone that supported the campaign. Without them, it wouldn't have been possible. Yourself for listening, and all the media. I mean, it did make a difference. You had the inquiry.
Well, I was going to say, because you had a petition, didn't you? And that just went that went crazy. How many signatures did you get in the end? Do you know?
Over 211,000.
Flipping heck.
And we actually got 26 recommendations.
This is from the government, because the government commissioned an independent report, didn't they, into benefit sanctions and stopping benefits for people. So what did that report say?
There was 26 very good recommendations, an independent inquiry we needed, to accept good reason, hardship payments to be made directly once the sanction happens and to be started by them. And perhaps if that had happened with David, it might have given us time to help him. Plus, as well, I think they should have, because of his condition, they should have had a specialist in on this before they made the decision. David was on JSA, you see. He wasn't on any like ESA.
Now,
So
what's
he was
ESA?
gonna
I know what job seekers allowance. What's ESA?
It's for help that people that are ill. They need that little bit extra, and you know, they're now targeting this to get them back into work. I mean, we've just had the statistics report. I don't know if you've seen it. 2 weeks ago, they issued the statistics of they were forced to say what was happening, and it says there. This is what the Mirror reported: the fact that more than 80 people are dying each week shortly after being declared fit for work should concern us all.
But hang on, hang on. Now I missed this. Wasn't there a lovely brochure with loads of people on benefits and disability living?
Who'd been sanctioned and they were grateful for it, weren't they?
Loads of people that weren't made up at all, that weren't actors, having little people that worked in the office saying, "Yeah, this benefit system is great. It works for us." This is just the saddest thing that that in a country like this.
The thing was, the government hasn't acted on this. So there's a new petition, which we started to get them. There's 3 of us involved in this petition to
Jill,
get these implemented.
Are you having to get a petition going to get the government to recognise these recommendations made by the independent report?
Yes.
What a country, eh? What a country!
We're going for the 26th. There's 3 of us involved. We're still campaigning because, as I say, they're now saying they're going to do 12 billion more cuts, which is only going to hit the vulnerable and the needy. These are the people that need our support. We're hearing such horror stories of the 26th, we're going for 2, but going to continue. We want the payments made available from day one, because no one should be left.
Well, there's a big delay, isn't there, between between getting the money? And that delay can be lethal.
It is, and also the independent inquiry. I mean, they were all very good recommendations. One of them was good reason, which makes common sense.
Jill, listen, so you've got another petition going, and I back you all the way. If people want to sign this or find out a little bit more about what you're up to, is there a website or somewhere they can go?
Yeah, it's change.org again. It's implement the recommendations of the benefit sanction policies beyond the Oakley report.
Oh, that's a long one.
Without all these wonderful people signing the petition, without this support, we wouldn't have got this far. But sometimes you need to continue. I mean, it was a success. Without that, we wouldn't have got this far. And I thank everyone. It will make a difference.
Jill, I have to ask a question about David, because you mentioned he liked music.
Oh, you love music, bless him.
Who were his favourites?
Oh, you wouldn't like it. It was heavy music.
Was he into heavy metal?
Oh, yes.
Well, but like Iron Maiden and stuff?
Oh, yes.
I was reading a lovely interview with Bruce Dickinson, the lead singer from Iron Maiden. I've seen Iron Maiden in concert, Jill.
Well, there's a song out there.
Yeah.
Been written about David. It's by Kieran Leonard.
All right.
And it's called Working People, and it's beautiful.
Okay, well, I'll try and check it out later on. Jill, listen, your brother will be very proud of you, and there are lots of people cheering you on, and I wish you the very best of luck, and we'll speak again soon.
And thank you for your support, and thank everyone. As I say, without them, all these wonderful people, kind people, this wouldn't have been possible. David's gone, we can't bring him back, but there are hundreds of thousands out there still suffering and dying. And this can't continue. This can't go on. I mean, we're the 6th richest country in the world, but with the way we're acting, we're the poorest. There's no compassion.
It's interesting to note that George Osborne announced last week plans to spend £500 million, that's £500 million, on somewhere to home submarines in Scotland. I kind of think you got £500 million that you can spend. You know, why not spend it on, I don't know, housing people and feeding them? You know, the priorities seem to be a little bit skewed.
Yeah, and they're like, as I say, it's the vulnerable that are suffering. I mean, all these horror stories, children starving. One in 5 families now are living below the poverty line.
Jill, listen, I've got to move on because, you know, I've got to do the travel and the news and stuff like that. It's always a real honour to speak to you because you come on with such dignity and your brother will be so proud of you. And let's keep our fingers crossed and we'll speak again soon.
Thank you so much.
All right, take care of yourself. Bye-bye.
Thank you, bye.
Wow, what a woman. Every time she comes on, I just think, flipping heck, what a woman. Thank you, Jill.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Got any Trav? No Trav? No Trav?
Is it? No.
Don't look like it, does
Doesn't
it?
look like it.
That doesn't help me. Any travel? Don't look like it. Whose fault is that? Is that yours?
James Worley. Doesn't look like he's dialed in.
Or is it Sammy Bruff's?
She's not in anyway.
Exactly.
Essentially, it's hers, isn't it?
Exactly.
That's Sammy.
I blame Sammy Bruff.
I'm going to ring them.
I wouldn't bother.
Okay, I won't.
We've set the alarm off, so that means that more people are listening to us now, which means Lee's going to have the biggest audience for the news he's ever had.
Across beds, hearts and bugs.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's 8:30. I'm Lee Agnew. The headlines: a group of men who abused 2 schoolgirls in Aylesbury are likely to get long prison sentences today. The men committed the crimes over a 6-year period. The Prime Minister is expected to announce how many Syrian migrants the UK is prepared to accept. The government plans to resettle more people from camps near Syria rather than those who've already reached Europe. And nearly 900 pets have been reported stolen in Bedfordshire over the past 3 years, but only 3 people have been charged by the county's force with animal theft. The weather will be chilly at first this morning, but warming up to leave a dry day with sunny spells and hazy sunshine. Top temperatures around 18 degrees Celsius, 64 degrees Fahrenheit.
3 Counties Sport.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Hertfordshire's Lewis Hamilton won the Italian Grand Prix at Monza. He's now 53 points ahead of his Mercedes teammate Nico Rosberg in the Drivers' Championship after Rosberg retired due to engine failure. However, Hamilton had to wait to have his win confirmed after stewards investigated his tyre pressure.
0.3 of a PSI on one left rear tyre literally means nothing. It has hardly any effect. It might give you 1 corner more, but it honestly makes no real difference. So, yeah, we didn't get an advantage, that's for sure.
Luton Town have moved up to 19th in League 2 with a 3-1 win away at Cambridge, and the Hatters boss John Still wants to build on the performance.
I think people will look at our players now and look at Craig McAlsmith today, look at him 3 or 4 games ago, look at Scott Griffiths now, look at him a few games ago, look at Steve McDonnell, look at him a few games ago. People, you know, my teams take a while to get going. Are we there yet? No, we're not. This is a good win and a very good performance. But I believe we'll get stronger and stronger and better, I really do.
Stevenage Borough won 2-1 at Plymouth, and Wickham are up to second in the table after a 2-1 win at home to Hartlepool. The Wanderers are now only a point behind the league leaders, and manager Gareth Ainsworth is delighted with their form.
The first 25 minutes we were by far the better side. We could have had 2 or 3. We got 1. Harry, great finish from him, but then we let him in with a sloppy goal, really. A sloppy goal, and just before half-time that gives the team a boost. So, but some of the toughest decisions we're leaving players out, and that's what it's going to be here because we're so good as a level, you know, as a whole. It's not like there's a player I can just say definitely out every week. It's tough, but great win, yeah.
Iceland has become the smallest country to qualify for the European Championships, but a draw against Israel wasn't enough to confirm Wales's place in the finals. And in rugby, Bedford won their championship match at Bristol by 29 points to 23. BBC Three Counties News and Sport, more at 9 o'clock.
Films you're too young to watch. You just told me about one, Lee.
I have.
I hadn't heard of this film.
My mum and dad were at a barbecue down the road, and we had a black and white telly, and I was watching Alice, Sweet Alice.
Now, does that ring any bells with anybody out there?
No.
I've googled it. Oh. This is the description, and the cover is as they often were for films in the 70s and 80s. It's a massive knife with blood on it.
Oh.
Favourite daughter Karen, played by Brooke Shields, is viciously strangled and set afire in church on the day of her first communion. Suspicion falls on her jealous and emotionally unstable sister, Alice. When the girl's aunt, Annie, is later stabbed on an apartment complex stairway, Alice is sent away. But the attacks continue, prompting priest father Tom and Alice's dad, Dominic, to go in search of the real killer. And how old were you when you watched this?
I was about 9, if I remember rightly.
Flipping it. You've just reminded me, when I had 4 teeth taken out when I was 10, my parents sat me, they said, you'll be all right. I had 4 teeth taken out. You'll be all right. Listen, we're going to go to work. We've got this film. It's called Halloween. Now, you just watched it. Flipping heck, it was terrifying.
This is Iain Lee
on BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you, Lee. To compound the terror of the Halloween film, when I'd had my 4 teeth taken out, 2 at the top, 2 at the bottom. I'll have 2 from the top, 2 from the bottom, please. Right. Something had gone wrong, and you get those they look like chalk sticks, but they're made of cotton wool.
Yeah.
And something had gone wrong, and my blood hadn't congealed.
Oh.
It hadn't clotted. So I was sat there for 4 hours on my own with a washing up bowl on my lap, blood just pouring from my mouth. Now, I didn't know that wasn't supposed to happen. So I'm there watching Halloween, which is flipping horrible, with a bowl full of blood in front of me and feeling very, very lightheaded. And my mum came home and I was a wreck.
My goodness me.
Andy's in Markgate. Good morning, Andrew.
Good morning, Iain.
Good morning, Andrew.
Now, talk about things that are terrifying. There is a poster in the library advertising your one-man show.
Oh, yes. Tickets still available. Luton Library Theatre on October the 16th or 17th? 17th, thank you.
17th, that's right. But the picture of you is rather...
Erotic?
Rather not flattering,
Sexual? What?
Not flattering.
What do you mean not flattering? Scott Balcony took that. What do you mean not flattering?
You look a bit like a mad Jeremy Clarkson.
Again, I ask you, what do you mean not flattering? That's the highest compliment you can pay any broadcaster.
Also, what's happened to Dave?
That was the nice hors d'oeuvre. Now on to the mains.
Yeah. What's happened to old Dave, the Dave who you joshed with just before 9 o'clock usually?
Dave's here now. Dave's always on the line. Dave's always on the line, just waiting to speak. Say hello to Dave.
Is he? Hello, Dave.
Yes.
You record him, don't you?
Yeah, I know it is now. Just shut it, pal.
I like it.
Thank you, Andy. Have you finished?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Just shut it, pal.
There we go, then. You see, Dave's always...
So rude, isn't he, Dave
Dave's
Luton?
always on standby. Yes, October the 17th. He brought it up, so there we go. And the big boss is in tomorrow, isn't he? Beautiful. So yeah. I can say whatever I want today. No one's listening.
I've got loads of texts here. What do you want? A ranty one, or do you want fun ones?
Oh, let's have a ranty. I think I've seen the ranty. It's great because it's wrong.
Yeah. Right. Here we go. I'm going to take a run up because there's no full stops in it at all.
Okay.
3CR. I hear you failed to mention the fact that the child abusers were Muslims. You Bilderberg Broadcasting Corporation, LibLabCon, EU Sheeple won't be happy till you've destroyed Western Europe. James.
Now, I read that. It was so angry and so vitriolic that I thought that must be a spoof. We mentioned they were from Pakistan. I don't know if... Do you know if... So, what was the gentleman's name?
James.
James, do you know they were Muslim? Because I don't know. I know that they were Asian and that they were at least some of them were from Pakistan. I don't know their religion. We can assume, we can fill in the gaps that the majority of people from Pakistan are Muslim. So we can assume that. I don't know that as a fact. So I just like to say things that are true on the show. And also, I don't understand what their religion has to do with it. There might be something to do with where they're from and the cultural background they come. Oh, you're saying that Muslims are paedophiles. Oh, I see. I'm sorry, you're peddling absolute balls.
Also, Bilderberg Broadcasting Corporation, that's another thing, and LibLabCon and EU Sheeple.
I can't believe... That's got to be a fake. That's got to be a fake. No one could be that angry and illiterate.
Well, we tried to ring him back, but he turned his phone off.
In that case, it could be genuine. 03459 455 555. We'll come to the rest in a bit. We are asking... What are we asking? What are we asking? I've forgotten.
Films you're too young for.
Yep.
How popular culture influenced your bath time.
Yep.
Things your mum said about Patrick Duffy. Things your mum said about everybody else in the telly.
And the longest you've ever stayed in a shop.
Yeah.
I spent an hour and 15 minutes having a standoff with an irate man. I was irate. 2 irate men.
The clash of the testosterone.
No one came off well.
Nicky in Olney says, every time Terence Trent D'Arby came on telly, my dad would say, he's a Golden Glove boxing champion, you know. Every time.
There we go. You've got it.
My mum would say that Sevi Ballesteros could have the top of her egg any day. That's from Nicky in Olney. I don't think she means boiled.
Okay, 03459 455 555. Back to this pet story. Pets apparently aren't a policing priority. That's what it would seem from the stats obtained by one of our local papers. According to figures that have been discovered by the Beds on Sunday, 880 animals have been reported stolen in the county over the last 3 years, but only 3 people have ever been charged. Well, Christina is from Dunstable and joins me now. Morning, Christina. Oh, she's there. Morning, Christina. You're on that one. Sorry, I had the wrong fader. Tell us what you had your dog, Nick, didn't you? What happened?
Yeah, I'm a dog breeder, and I had a puppy, 6-week-old, stolen from my garden. The mum was with them, but she's obviously I breed for temperament, so she's not sort of aggressive or vicious or anything, so she sort of wouldn't have done anything. We know sort of who it was, but the police sort of wouldn't go to arrest them. They took about 5 days to actually come out and see me, and that was with me ringing, giving quite aggressive sort of mannerisms over the phone to sort of get him to come round. The officer that did come, he was brilliant. He did spend a lot of time trying to, track the person down, but by the time they went to go and arrest the boy, they'd already moved to Bristol and took the dog with them. So,
now, no names, obviously, but how do you know it was this person that nicked your dog?
He was witnessed looking over my fence 2 or 3 times, and we have 3 statements from different people saying that. And there was a lad around the corner from where I live who actually knows the boy, and he had told him he was going to take one of the puppies. But because he wouldn't make a statement, they wouldn't go and arrest him on that, because he was only 13, so he didn't want the repercussions for making a statement against this lad, so...
It must have been incredibly frustrating dealing with the police. I can understand your annoyance with them.
Well, we done most of the investigating ourselves. We found out where the lad lived and that they were going to Bristol and everything. The police didn't really do that much, to be honest.
Why did they say, "Oh, get over it, love, it's a dog," or something similar? Why do you think they were so reluctant?
Yeah, when I rang up, they said, "Well, how do you know it's been stolen?" I said, "Because it's 6 weeks old. It would not leave its mum and the other 8 puppies. It's not just going to... And there's nowhere to get out in my garden for it to have gone." So, yeah, they did try and pass it off just for it getting out and sort of getting lost. But, yeah, they weren't very helpful at the beginning.
And did they... I mean, have they apologised for being so slow in dealing with this?
Not really. No. No, they haven't, no.
What more do you think needs to be done, Christina, in the future? Do the police need to change their attitude?
That's the response. If they would have come out the day I called them, I called them about an hour after it must have been stolen, and they took 4 or 5 days to come. If they would have come then, there might have been more of a chance of getting that puppy back. But they took too long. The people had already gone and left to Bristol.
And that's it? You ain't never going to see that dog again?
No. And the people that had already reserved that puppy... they're never going to get that puppy they always want, that they were going to have. So it was really devastating for them, because they had this puppy that they knew they were getting for weeks, and then all of a sudden I had to ring them and say, "I'm really sorry, you're not going to have that puppy, it's gone." So it was quite a terrible time.
Yeah. Christina, listen, I appreciate you sharing your story with us. Thank you very much, Christina Barton from Dunstable. 03459 455 555.
This is Iain Lee
on BBC Three Counties Radio.
Now, you said we had some nicer texts.
Yeah, we do.
Let's go. Let's move into the nice zone.
I say nice. They're films that you were too young to watch.
Aye.
Mark in Luton. I watched Tremors when I was roughly 7 years old.
Now, stop the clock. I was thinking about Tremors the other day. Did you know what Tremors is?
Is that the one with the big worm?
It's the one with the big... So there's big worms under the ground.
And the earthquakes.
And I've never seen Tremors. All I've seen, and I've seen it about a dozen times, because they always show it on cable channels, is the scene where they're on 3 different roofs in the desert and they're shouting across to each other, "You come over it! You come... I'm not going over there, there's a big worm!" That's the only bit I've seen, and I've seen it about a dozen times, and I think I've pretty much reenacted it spot on. But that's not That's not a terrifying film. That's kind of... I always thought that was a comedy.
If you're 7, it might be.
Well...
Mark says, it took me about 3 months to stop fearing the floor downstairs. Linda says, films we were too young to watch. My dad brought home a film for me to watch when I was about 7 or 8. Again, 7 or 8.
Yeah.
Your parents think that you were up to it when you're not. I was going to let my kids watch Bill and Ted today.
Yeah.
Is that all right?
Bill and Ted's all right, although they do... there's a brilliant bit where they get Napoleon. They go, Bill and Ted, they go through time, they pick up all these heroes from time. And they get... Napoleon kind of smuggles his way onto the time machine. And Bill and Ted don't want to deal with Napoleon, so they give Napoleon... Spoiler alert, guys. They give Napoleon to their younger brother, Deacon, to look after, right? And Deacon's like, I don't want to look after Napoleon. Just look after... And they take him... was it Ziggy Wiggy? They take him to have ice cream and go bowling and stuff like that. And then he gets rid of Napoleon. He says, let's just leave him. And Bill and Ted go up to him and go, Deacon, did you ditch Napoleon? Yeah, I did. He was a massive dick. It's. I think we can get away with that. That's as bad as it gets. I think there is one swear in it.
So... All right, if I cough really heavily over the top of that, now you've given me...
You'll see that coming, yeah.
Is there anything else I should be...
I'm sure there's a swear in it. I'm sure I remember watching it and there's one swear. You'll be all right.
Well, I mean, you say that. My eldest is 7, and it seems that 7 is the age when they start, living the films.
I watched the film and I taped it off the telly, and so I'm sure by now, today's standards, it'll be really tame. But again, I would have been 7. And I taped it, and it was a trilogy of... It was 3 little films, like 30 minutes each, and they got progressively scarier. The first one was about a haunted Rolls Royce. The second one was something to do with vampires, but it wasn't very explicit. The third one was called... They had little titles. The third one was called Bobby.
Oh.
And it's this woman, and she lived in this house on a cliff, and her son Bobby had died. He was like about 5 or 6. He died, right? So it starts off with her doing a black magic ritual to bring him back from the dead, right?
Never a good idea, guys.
And it's like night time and there's thunderbolts and lightning, very, very frightening me. And she does it, and then there's a knock on the door and Bobby's there.
Oh.
And she goes, this is brilliant. And they start hanging out and it's an awesome night. But then as the night goes on, Bobby tries to kill her. And at the end, I remember, his face is all scarred and he's got a knife and he says... Bobby didn't want to come back, and then he stabs her to death. I'm watching this at the age of 7. Even now, as a 42-year-old man, you do the maths. What's that? It's like something like
Ages.
26 years later. Mm-hmm. I still have nightmares about the scene where he's got a scar face. Bobby didn't want to come back. Stab, 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 stab.
Anyway, have a nice day at school, kids.
Enjoy yourself, guys.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
The southbound A1 really slow towards Black Cat on the speed sensors this morning. Also usual congestion on the A1M southbound at Stevenage. Delays into London on the A10 from the M25, just south of the M25, all the way down to the North Circular. It's all because of earlier problems at the Great Cambridge Interchange, and also the westbound North Circular really slow because of an accident that happened earlier on that westbound side. Onto the M25, anti-clockwise is slowed down towards junction 16. M40 looking much better now at Stoke-on-Church after an accident on the southbound side earlier, and trains they're okay with no reported delays. James Worley, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you, James. I'm now trying to find this film, and I'm worried it's going to. I feel really uncomfortable, but I've got to find it. I've got to watch it. 8:46. It's Monday, the 7th September. I'm Iain Lee. These are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. A group of men who abused 2 schoolgirls in Aylesbury are likely to get long prison sentences today. David Cameron will say today how many refugees Britain will take from Syria. And Bedfordshire police are being urged to take reports of pet theft in the county more seriously. Coming up, we'll have J-Dog, but before that, let's get the weather.
Beds, Herts and Bucks weather.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
A beautiful start to the day, if a little chilly. Temperatures outside ranging between 8 and 10 Celsius at the moment. High pressure dominates, which cleared the sky overnight, which meant those chillier temperatures this morning. But we have got sunshine and blue sky, and things will warm up quite nicely today, and it's staying dry too. Maximum temperature 20 Celsius. If we're heading out overnight, things aren't too bad either. Patchy clouds, some clear spells. Quite chilly, but not quite as chilly as it was last night. 10 Celsius being the minimum. And for tomorrow, there is going to be more cloud. It's moving in from the east, but we'll still get some bright spells, and it's still going to be dry. Temperatures at around 18 Celsius, and that's your forecast.
Thank you very much indeed. Ladies and gentlemen, I've found the film Dead of Night, 1977. TV movie. Suddenly it's a TV movie. It's like...
It might not be that scary after all.
Gets 6.5 on IMDb. Stars Ed Begley Jr. This anthology tells 3 stories. A man buys a car that takes him back and forth through time. A tale of vampires. And his distraught mother asks for her drowned son to come back to life and gets more than she bargained for. Yeah, Bobby didn't want to come back. Bobby did not want to come back.
He made himself quite clear at the end, didn't he?
I'm tempted to buy it, but I'm going to... Sorry? Who's she? Oh, she's talking to She's talking to somebody. I see what she's doing.
Do you want to hear one from Linda?
Yeah, go on.
Films we were too young to watch. My dad brought home a film for me to watch when I was about 7 or 8. It was a new film and he thought I'd like it. It was Gremlins. After my mum found me screaming and crying behind the armchair in the living room, this was during the Gremlin in a liquidizer scene, she gave my dad a good old talking to.
I've just seen someone... Oh, Lino's just sent me a picture of Bobby when he's all dead and scarred. Flipping heck, that is terrifying. So I'm so sorry. I am 7 years old. At home. I'm at home wishing I was not watching this. Oh, that's awful. Imagine that as a 7-year-old.
Stop it.
I taped it off That is awful.
Hello, Three Counties.
Bobby did not want to come back. Not looking like that. Sorry, Catherine, I interrupted. Continue,
no, we're
Evu.
done. Oh. I don't like that.
Kiri's on the line. Morning, Kiri.
Good morning, Ian. How are you?
Do you know what? I really wish I hadn't seen that... I wish I hadn't seen that picture. It's more terrifying than I was expecting it to be. That is horrible.
Well, I've been scarred for life watching something when I was 7.
Yeah, go on. Seven is the age. Now, Kiri, you're like early 40s, yeah?
Yeah.
This is the thing. Parents didn't know back then, because, sort of like around 1980, 82, 83, people were starting to get video recorders. Mm-hmm. And we just kind of trusted everybody. So if someone gave you a videotape, or if a videotape was in a shop, that'll be all right for the kids to watch. Let's put that on. And we just didn't know. Nowadays, I don't know. Maybe we're too sensitive. Go on. What film was it, Kiri?
Well, no, my parents weren't at home. Well, I had a babysitter, and my parents had gone out for dinner. Now, Kelly thinks it's called, I can't remember the name, Evil Dead. This elderly woman comes out of a mental home with her Jack Russell and stays with her daughter, and it's raining, and she goes in the garden because she hears a noise, the dog's barking, and there's a hand coming out the ground, and it turns out her son-in-law had buried her daughter alive.
That's not Evil Dead.
No, Evil Dead is Hello, Lover, isn't it?
Evil Dead is Bruce Campbell.
4 years ago.
Sorry?
That's how it starts. I watched it when I was about 6.
Evil. That's. I don't know what that is. So there's a hand comes out of the ground.
Yeah, and the son-in-law is buried. Anyway, I was absolutely petrified, and I asked the babysitter if I could ring my mum and dad, and she said no. So I found the number, and I rang my dad, and he said, right, get in my bed, watch Mary Poppins till I come home. And they came straight home because I was so scared, and I've never watched a horror film ever since.
You've reminded me, good for you, you've reminded me of the scene in Creepshow that terrified me as a kid. Now, stick with me. I don't remember it very well, because I've not been able to watch it since, right? It's Ted Danson... Before he was Ted Danson. It's Ted Danson and this woman. And they upset a gangster or something, right? So the gangster takes them down to the beach at night time, digs a hole, the tide's out, digs holes for them, they get in there and it's just their head sticking out of the sand, right?
Ooh.
And then the tide comes in. And I remember you see Ted Danson drowning, and I know a lot of people would like to see that. But as 7 years old, watching Ted Danson drown, and then the gangster's at home in his luxury apartment, there's a knock on the door, he opens the door, there are zombie Ted Danson and this woman covered in seaweed, and they kill him. Now, you say it like that, 42 years old, oh yeah, whatever. 7 years old, 7 years old, Kiri!
Yeah, honestly, it scarred me for life. I would never, ever watch a horror, ever. And I still remember it to this day.
Kiri, thank you very much indeed. Here's something, and I believe this text, okay? Because in the early days of video, people didn't have a clue. That's why the video nasty became a thing, because there was suddenly this flush of things like, a rush of things like Cannibal Holocaust and I Spit on Your Grave and Driller Killer, all these horrible films. Some have aged better. Driller Killer is actually quite a good film. But... and they all came out, and then there was like an uproar. This is outrageous, and that's why we got like certificates on videos and stuff.
The Exorcist. There was a big hoo-ha about, wasn't there?
In my early teens, says Mark, my mum asked me which video I'd like from the video shop. I replied, Emmanuel, thinking she would give me a slap, but was surprised when she said, OK. She either had no idea what the film was about or believed it to be her part in my sex education. Either way, I really enjoyed it. I bet you
She
did.
knew. Emmanuel was one of those films everyone was talking
Well,
about.
I don't know if all mums would know about Emmanuel.
I had a French teacher who used to live just on the other side of the border from Spain, and she said that on a weekend, all the because of Franco being the dictator that he was, all the Spanish guys would come over on a weekend to watch Emmanuel at their cinema.
Justin?
Boss, tone it down, please. Tone it down this morning.
Hey, sorry, Keys, you're getting a little bit hot under the collar.
Oh, kind of. You've been
HUC.
saying my favourite film's American Psycho because of one scene. I've got family listening. Tone it down, mate.
It's because of the shoes.
So, hang on a minute. I'm not allowed to say that American Psycho is one of your favourite films, and you often show us one of the most horrific scenes over breakfast. Do your parents know that you smoke?
Yes, they do. And today I'm going for a session to give up smoking. Just one slight problem. I've got 600 beautiful, juicy frees at home. Bad timing.
Where are you going? Where's this session? What is it? Hypnotism?
No, I'm going to a lady who is a specialist in people giving up smoking.
Beautiful.
I said to her, I need to make sure before I go, you are actually a former smoker, otherwise I won't be talking to you. She said, yes, I am a former smoker. I said, great, book me in.
Get in there, fella. Get in there, fella. Good luck.
Have you told her about your delicious stash of fags?
I will be, but then again, I can probably sell them.
You won't sell them. You need them to be out of the house.
You need to get them out of the house, mate.
Yeah, for cash.
Good, out of the house for cash. That's Justin Dealey's motto. Well, I wish you the very best of luck, Justin.
Thank you, man. That means a lot.
Films that you're too young to watch. That's what you've taken to the streets, isn't it?
Yeah, I've taken this one to the streets. There's some great films coming up here. We go in deep with Andy. This is such a great way to start. Films that you watch that you were too young to watch. Here's what happened. Andy, when you were young, you watched A Clockwork Orange. You naughty boy. How old were you?
Probably somewhere in the region of about 8.
8 years old? How on earth did you watch that film at 8 years old? Where were your parents?
That was a very good question. We were staying with grandparents who took us to... It wasn't a cinema as such, but it was an alternative venue.
Your grandparents took you to watch A Clockwork Orange at 8 years old?
Yeah, that's right.
Your grandparents, they were different. So what sort of effect did that film have on you? When I first saw that film, and I was above the age of 18, I just couldn't stop thinking about it for weeks. What happened to you at 8 years old? It must have messed you up.
It was certainly an alternative viewing to Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, yes.
How old are you, Chief?
16.
16, OK. You got a briefcase in your hand. It's not very swag, but listen,
Yeah.
you can improve that with time. Which film did you watch when you were too young?
Saw.
I want to play a game.
Do you? How about Jenga?
I want to play a real game.
Monopoly.
Madam, you got a cold. I'm going to be gentle with you. What's your name?
Louise.
Louise, which film did you watch that you were too young to watch?
Freddy Krueger. Nightmare on Elm Street.
Your face is changing. I mean, back in the day, what sort of effect did that have on your life? How scared were you to walk the streets?
Not the streets, but I was scared to go to sleep.
How long?
Maybe a few weeks.
Saturday Night Fever.
Come on, be serious.
Seriously, I was too young to go into the rating. I was 9.
Right. I mean, that's not really the sort of thing we're looking for. I mean, was there a horror film that you saw that you were too young to watch?
Yeah, Saturday Night Fever.
Thank you very much.
Well, Saturday Night Fever, it's a dark film. It's a dark film.
Yeah, things go a bit Pete Tong, don't they? It's not just dancing.
It's not fun.
I mean, it's not the sort of film that you're going to lose sleep over, surely.
I think John Travolta did when he looks back at it and goes, I wish I was that young and I wish I still had my own hair that I hadn't bought. Justin, excellent stuff. We're going to play we'll pay tribute to a legend tomorrow, if that's all right. The
Mate,
package that we have to drop
want.
Friday, we're having it tomorrow, boss.
Lovely, sounds good to me.
Cheers, my dears. Good luck today. I hope it goes well.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye-bye. There we go. Bye-bye. Wowzers.
I was too young for the Thriller video.
Yeah.
That scared the flipping whatnots off me.
What was that? Didn't they show it about midnight on Channel 4 or something? Again, we taped that. I think we were just dumb in the old days. Weren't we dumb?
Mm-hmm.
Sorry?
Yeah.
Not talking to you.
Oh.
You're in your old days now. You're living your old days now.
They're great.
Yeah. You're going to look back and think you were dumb. Young,
I know
young and dumb. And full of fun.
Rum tillium.
Up your bum. Now, have we got any Texans as this show slowly
Dave in Luton.
derailed?
American Werewolf in London. The scene where he changes surely has to be the most frightening thing for a kid to watch. Well, we don't suggest you find out. My brother says Georgie in Hitchin watched Stephen King's It when he was 8.
Oh.
And Aid says, I saw A Nightmare on Elm Street and Hellraiser as under 10 due to older siblings. I hid behind the sofa when Pinhead and Freddy appeared. I remember sitting in the bath with my ridiculous Levi's twisted jeans because they said to do it on the label. And also I would make a mohawk in the bath with a comb because of the Lost Boys film. From Vegan Aid in High Wycombe.
There we go, ladies and gentlemen. I believe that all T's have been crossed, all I's have indeed been dotted, and actually with a dot, not with a little heart or a smiley face.
No, because I will judge you if you do that.
We'll carry these over tomorrow. So tomorrow, what did your mum say about Patrick Duffy? Mum's always had something to say about Patrick Duffy. Mine was, I used to like him, but he's a Buddhist now. He's a bit weird.
My mum still would have.
Yeah. But things your parents said about anybody that came on the television, films you were too young to watch, and how did popular culture impact on your bath time? You can email as well, ian.lee, ian.lle@bbc.co.uk. Right, BBC Three Counties Radio. Let's get the trav, shall we?
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
It seems still really slow on the motorways. M25 queuing anti-clockwise down to the M40. The M1, usual delays southbound from 10 to 7. Luton Airport down towards the Hemel Hempstead exit. M40 looking okay, but the A40, not much fun at all into London. Congestion from RAF Northolt all the way into the North Circular. Also delays on the A1 into London through Boreham Wood. The A10's been really heavy into the capital, approaching the North Circular because of earlier problems at the Great Cambridge Interchange, as well as an accident on the westbound side, which is still partially blocking the North Circular. And just being told just over at Dean's Hangar, the A422 partially blocked off at Stratford Road. A couple of cars involved in an accident there. Onto the A1, by the way, at Black Cat, southbound, still queues on the sensors approaching the Black Cat roundabout. James Worley, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you, James. Don't forget, if you want to go out on the street with J-Dog, send him, what is he on Twitter? @Justin Dealey, probably. There can be only one. That's it, that's your lot. Don't forget, go to iTunes, download the podcast. Until tomorrow at 6 from me, Kelly, Catherine and Justin. Ta-ta.
Local and vocal across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you, Ian. Good morning. Welcome to the JVS show. I'm Jonathan Vernon-Smith. It's Monday. It's 9 o'clock. And on today's Big Phone In, is it time we were more accepting of the full Muslim face veil in this country? The police have released figures showing that recorded hate crimes against Muslims in the London area rose to more than 800 a year since last July. That's an increase of over 60% on the previous 12 months. Muslim groups believe radical Islamic attacks abroad have prompted this increase. And the BBC has heard from women who wear the face veil who say they're particularly targeted by people in the street. Well, this morning I want to hear your response to this. Is it time we were more accepting of the full Muslim face veil in this country? Pick up the phone, come on and have your say. I'd love to hear from you. Here's my telephone number. It's 03459 455 555.
This is the JVS show
on BBC Three Counties Radio.
I'll take your call in just a second, but first let's get the latest BBC News at 9 o'clock. Here's Lee Agnew.
6 members of a child sex ring in Aylesbury will be sentenced today. The men abused 2 schoolgirls over a 6-year period. Elaine Hook, a child protection specialist from Buckinghamshire, says the fact that most of the men came from Pakistan shouldn't be overlooked.
We need to get inside these men's heads, understand ethnic minorities, understand how they view women and their moral and values. Their moral code is often different. When children hit puberty in some of these countries, they are then married to much older men, and I think they bring those values here and believe they can behave that way here.
A cyclist has died after falling from his bike in Hertfordshire. The 46-year-old man was cycling with a boy along the Nicky Line cycle route near Redbourne Golf Course. Paramedics were called to the scene but were unable to save him. The Prime Minister will say today how many Syrian refugees the UK will take in. The government plans to resettle some people from camps in countries bordering Syria. But Shadow Home Secretary and Labour leadership contender Yvette Cooper isn't happy that Britain's aid budget will be used to help fund it.
What you can't do is do this at the expense of, obviously, the support in the region. We know some of the things that have been driving the exodus from the region have been the reduction in rations in the camps, the fact that so many children children in the camps are not getting schooling. Britain has a great record of putting a lot of support into the refugee camps that are immediately around Syria.
A BBC investigation has found a big increase in the time it takes for a case to go through the courts in Bedfordshire. Crown Court hearings are taking almost 2 months longer than the national average. More from Karen Abercrombie.
According to figures from the Ministry of Justice, Crown Court cases in Bedfordshire take on average 250 days. It also shows that magistrates' courts in the county have also seen an increase in delays, with cases taking on average 81 days to complete. This is at a time when the government plans to close Bedford Magistrates' Court.
In sport, Lewis Hamilton won the Italian Grand Prix, the world champion's 7th victory in 12 races this season, puts him 53 points ahead of Nico Rosberg, who had to retire due to an engine failure. However, Hamilton had his own fair share of drama. He was